All right, welcome everybody to episode 11 of the Killer Main Interview Podcast. All right, this is Future Bennett here. Hopefully, this is one of like two more of these you're going to hear this little rant in. This was an interview I did probably 3 or 4 months ago. The file got corrupted, so I wasn't able to upload it correctly. So, to alleviate this, I took the file and I streamed it on Twitch, which, by the way, the link to that is below if you ever want to catch me doing these on Fridays. Uh, and we took the file from there. As a result, some of the audio got messed up. Some of the parts of the video are completely missing, so there's going to be some jump cuts that are just random and all that stuff. Similar to the last one we did. This is probably going to be the case for this one, the Trickster one I did with Rev, and the Nurse one I did with Cardinal. Hopefully, those are the last ones it happens to now that we're doing these live on Twitch to avoid any technical issues. But yeah, I really wanted to get this one out before the Singularity rework happens. Phoenix will be back for a follow-up video to go over the changes and how they feel about the changes and all that stuff. In any case, all their stuff is always linked below as always. I love y'all. I hope y'all enjoy. And yeah, bye. Today's video is going to be on the Singularity, or Larry, or Sinclair, or whatever name the community has given him at this point. And we have the lovely Phoenix here, if they would like to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Phoenix, or Phoenix Taru. I'm a Dead by Daylight casual streamer, just kind of do it in my free time as a hobby, and I main the Singularity.
And so, how long have you been playing Dead by Daylight?
I've been playing DBD since 2018. Clown was the most recent killer when I started playing the game. He'd already come out, I think it was July of 2018,
Mm-hmm.
give or take. Um, and I've been playing pretty much consistently since then, up until, well, tonight. But yeah, I have about 7,500 hours in the game right now.
You know, it still never fails to blow my mind that most of the people I bring on here have more hours than I do. um, so why? What you said, clown, but I assume you weren't maining clown, but why Larry as your main?
Larry actually has a funny story about why I started playing him. So every once in a while, as we do, we take breaks from Dead by Daylight, and when I come back to the game, I have, a nice refreshed point of view. And usually picking up like a new killer when I come back helps with that. So I came back from my break around when Xenomorph came out. I took like a 3-month break, and then I came back when Xenomorph was released. Um, and my partner and I, we play a little game. We pick a killer for each other to learn on rank reset, and then we play that killer and we try to grind all the way up to Eerie 1 just to try and not master, but just become competent with said killer.
Mhm.
Um, he picked Singularity for me, and I kind of just never stopped playing him. He stuck with me. And
Yeah,
then I started watching guides on YouTube and, going into Larry Player streams and just really trying to understand the killer. He really like clicked with me.
he's a he's an obtuse killer, and his play rate is what, second lowest still, or third lowest? It's the second or third.
Criminally low.
Yeah, it's really low. Even though even when he first released, a lot of people didn't really play him. So it's very interesting to hear some, because he's one of those killers I feel like he doesn't click with a lot of people, but the people he does click with, it's a match made in heaven. Um,
He's very much like an all or nothing killer. Like either you pick him up and you just don't like him and you never want to touch him ever again,
mhm.
or you just absolutely fall in love with him. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna play this killer and I'm gonna only play this killer forever.
uh, he's it's and I know some people know this from my streams. Larry's actually my secondary main, right after
Mhm.
Chucky. So I actually have a lot of experience. Don't expect me to remember what every add-on is called or what every add-on does. But uh, but I understand the main ins and outs of him. But that's I don't know. It's just very interesting that it's kind of dumb luck. Because it could have been Zeno and you could have never touched Larry. And you
I mean,
also.
the other killer that he picked for me was Pinhead, and I still like Pinhead like casually to this day. Like
Mhm.
that was like a year ago. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna learn how to play Pinhead for this one." Like, okay, cool. I still like Pinhead. I play him occasionally, but he didn't stick with me because like I started playing Singularity, and then I started to realize like, hey, maybe this killer's really fun, and I feel like I'm kind of getting kind of good with him. So then I just like, maybe I'll just never stop playing this killer.
And you play on controller, right?
I do. I play on PlayStation. It's my primary platform.
Do I know like this game isn't like the most Twitch heavy aim focus a lot of the times, but I know the cameras are probably a little annoying with joysticks, I would assume.
Yeah, there's definitely some limitations playing with a controller versus playing on like a mouse and keyboard. The cameras are the big one because if you're playing him in a really, aggressive, like chase oriented play style, you want to be able to like flick your camera as
Hmm.
soon as you go into it. You can do it with controller, it's just not as precise, so sometimes you can like overshoot it because controller dead zones and all that.
Is there
But
is
for the
there
most part, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is there any do you know have you played on PC at all with him?
I have, yeah, a
Uh,
little bit, not a lot, but a little bit.
do you notice any like aim assist or anything helping you out a little bit on controller at all?
I don't think so with the cams. The aim assist seems to really only come from like actually like M1 hits or M2 hits. Not M2, but M1 hits.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like there is a wider like it's a lot more forgiving when you scan them with the camera because there's like a wider area of effect. So I mean there's a very big like margin where you can actually tag somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's controller specific or if that's just the game being the game.
Uh,
But I mean the only real hindrance is gonna be, like, sometimes I'll miss TPs because I can't aim on them frame perfectly,
right.
and that does hurt sometimes, but I think for the most part, like, he's still I mean, you can still get consistent results with him playing with a controller versus playing on PC.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's like I said in this game. I don't think it's as much of a big deal as some people would it out to be. Um, Personally, I don't do it, but I know I
Mhm.
am 100% positive that Survivor is easier on controller than mouse and
It
keyboard.
is, yeah.
Uh,
I play both sides, and, yeah, Survivor, I even when I do play on PC on the rare occasions, I'll plug my controller in to play Survivor. It's just it feels better with the joysticks.
yeah, I think it's just because a lot of third person stuff often feels better with controller. I'm really curious how Chucky would feel on controller now. Huh? I really thought about that.
Something to try.
Yeah, maybe. So Larry is a complicated killer. Let's just say that.
Mhm.
I don't complicated. I don't think is the right word. Um, I would say esoteric. I guess would be the right word. Just he's got a lot of moving pieces, but like once you understand it, it's really not. And I know it's everything in the world, but like it's really not that complicated when like you break it down. It's just breaking it down is the hard part, in my opinion.
No, I
Um,
definitely agree with that.
so what I would ask is, and I'm only asking this because we're about to talk about the changes you would make, if any.
Mhm.
What changes would you make to Larry?
Good. My answer to that is so, like, lame and
Mm-hmm.
tame compared to some of the other changes I've heard Singularity mains make.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is so simple. I just want some more, like, vertical, I want more vertical range on placing the cams,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you can only place them 5 meters above your head at any given time. It's capped at that. So, like, if you're on a map like, I don't know, let's say, like, Running Storehouse, and you wanna place a cam on the outside of the building, and maybe this is just a controller skill issue on my part, but I feel like there's times where I wanna place a camera and then I'll be like 5.009 meters above the cap and it won't place the camera. It aggravates me, like, it's a small thing, like, I can adjust it, but it's still, like, kind of just an annoyance, like or if I'm sitting at the bottom of, Thompson House, I would like to be able to shoot a camera up at the top level. I would that be broken? I don't know if that'd be broken, but I wanna be able to
Uh,
do it.
I think the thing that we all you also have to think about it is the EMPs.
Yeah.
They would have to adjust the range on the EMPs as well. And it could also be a coding issue. I doubt
Mm.
that's what it is. It's probably part of it, but not like the whole reason.
I
And
have a
then
fun fact for you about EMPs. They actually the visual aid that it gives you, it looks like a sphere, but they actually don't have a vertical cap. They go in a cylinder.
oh,
infinitely.
Okay, then disregard my previous statement. Never mind then. Wow, come onto my YouTube channel and make me look like an idiot. I see how it is. Yeah, okay, in that case, then never mind. I guess that it is probably just a. It's either okay. There actually is another reason it might not do that. And it's a dumb reason. Well, not a dumb one, but it's the reason for a lot of things in this game. In most games, new players. Um,
Mhm.
because if you are a new player playing against a Singularity, which is extremely unlikely, but it might happen.
Mhm.
If they put a camera at the very tippy top of a tree on sheltered woods or something, and you have no way of knowing it's there or where it's actually shooting you from, that could be extremely confusing and disorienting. And yeah, that would be my only reason as to why they don't let you, or it has a cap.
I definitely think it could be a balance nightmare because I'm thinking like in my head, like the Macmillan maps, like placing a cam at the very top of like the water tower and
Yeah.
being able to look down on the entire map. I mean, the cameras have a range for how far you can scan people, so
Hmm.
the verticality would hinder that, I think. But I mean, you can still see them like running around moving. You just
Yeah.
can't see them highlighted and you can't
Yeah.
tag them with slipstream.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The information's still there, obviously.
Yeah, I
Which
just think it would be fun. That's
bring
all.
yeah, which brings me to my one change that I would do to Larry. Is also you don't care that I call him Larry, do you?
No, not at all.
Okay, some people get mad when I call him that.
No, I call him Larry, I call him Singu, I call him Singularity, I call him Singularity.
Uh,
All the Singularities.
there is someone in my comment section who will not who will till the day they die keep telling me his name is actually Sinclair. Um,
I've
because
never heard that one before.
he's a sophisticated gentleman. That's why.
He
Um,
is.
tuxedo skin for Singularity, please. Uh,
Please. He needs more skins. I'm begging.
we'll
Please.
get into it. Don't worry. The only change I would do to him is, and this isn't going into the add-ons. I think we'll get into that in a second. But the add-on, I don't remember the name, but it's a yellow one that makes it so you can hear sound out of the cameras.
Hmm.
That should just be base kit. I don't understand why it's an add-on. Like, is it?
That one is the that's the ultrasonic sensor. It's after 0.5 seconds. You can hear
Yeah.
all the sounds.
Like,
Yeah.
is that really that powerful to be an add-on?
No, I don't think it warrants being in an add-on, to be honest. I mean, there you probably know, but I mean, if you go into a cam, you can hear sound for like a split second before it makes that loud, like just the whooshing sound,
Mm-hmm.
the deafening sound.
Well,
So
yeah.
I don't think because I can still like if I have a cam set up close to a gen and I flick to that camera, I can still hear the gen or I can hear an injured survivor crying for like a split second before it cuts out.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like making that base kit would
Like,
not be overpowered or anything like that.
yeah. I just don't understand like why it's not like if that wasn't an add-on, like I wouldn't even think about it doing sound. I'd be like, okay, it's probably a balancing thing. But because it's an add-on, I'm like, why isn't it just basic? It's just it's so strange. And not to say like it's the biggest deal in the world that you can't hear sound out of it. It's just I don't know. I think it'd just be nice. Um, but yeah, on to other add-ons. We're gonna talk
Mm.
about the big one first.
Oh boy, I know
anyone
which one that is.
anyone anyone who knows Singularity in any way, shape, or form knows what the big one is. Soma family photo.
If you're playing to win, that is the only add-on you ever need in your whole life.
Do you think it needs to be nerfed?
See, I that's a tough question to answer because I don't know if I want to see it nerfed because I mean, I play him with no add-ons and no perks sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I can definitely see why Soma is strong. Like if you play 5 games without any sort of add-ons and then you slap on Soma, it feels like it fixes any problems that he might have.
Yeah, because I don't usually ever run Somas in any of my builds with him. But yeah, I'm aware that if I did, I would probably win more often. Uh, but I mean, at that
No,
point, go on.
I was gonna say the I think what makes it so strong is that he can be played in a couple different ways. Like he's a very versatile killer. Like he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve.
Mhm.
Um, but I think by far one of the more oppressive playstyles and is going to be the aggressive chase playstyle. And I
Mhm.
think Soma just makes that like so much better. Like it takes him from like a high B tier killer up to like mid A,
Would
just in my
you
opinion.
would you say that the fact that he because I think this is another problem as to why his pick rate is so low. He seems like, not to say his design is bad because I actually enjoy his gameplay design, but I feel like his gameplay design is a little conflicting, if that makes any sense. Because
Hmm.
the way the cameras work and all of this stuff, it kind of implies he's kind of like an information killer, which he
Yeah.
is, but he's also a chase killer. Um,
Hmm.
and it kind of like I feel like those two things kind of conflict to it. Like one is a very slow, methodical play style, and the other is super fast paced. And I feel like
Right.
often like when you describe that to somebody, not necessarily because I think it works fine in practice, but like explaining it to somebody can be very confusing. And I think it's part of the reason his play style or his play rate is as low as it is. Um,
Yeah. And I mean, one of the cool things about him, though, I mean, regardless of what you're running, I mean, he's a killer where you can start playing very aggressive and playing for chases, trying to get downs, trying to get slugs. Um, and then you might just have to switch your play style like on the fly, like in
mhm,
the middle of the game. And I
mhm.
think that he's one of the only killers that's really, really, really good at that. I mean, hey, I'm going for chases, I'm going for downs, I'm trying to two tap people, and then oh well, now I have to watch my gens or I have to watch my EMP crates. So I feel like that makes him it gives him like a level of depth that a lot of killers don't have, and I think that's kind of what attracts people to him a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I've been to your streams also. This is I was gonna bring this up at some point. This is weird because I think this is the first time I've had someone who watches my stuff, who watched my stuff before I contacted them um, on. But I've been in your streams and we've talked about it a little bit. I feel like a lot of I want to say the non-content creator Larrys or the ones who are just like only on Twitter and whatever. I think they oversell how complicated this character is, and how much you need to do to actually be good with him.
Hmm.
Um, not to say like because there's obviously a difference like between knowing like every little thing and knowing exactly where to place your cams and when to go for chase and when to do all this. Obviously, there's a difference, but I think at like the base level, playing him like normally, I don't think you need like a degree like some people seem to think.
No, I
Um,
mean he's really I keep saying he's weird and he's unique. I don't want to keep repeating myself too much, but
mhm,
he's different. I mean, he definitely doesn't have the lowest skill floor, right? Like compared to like a Wraith
right.
or um what's another simple killer. I
Uh,
want to like part of me wants to say Blight because Blight is a killer where you can play him like in a very easy way, just using his rushes for mobility and then playing him like an M1 killer, and
well,
you could still probably do just fine. Like,
I once again, I don't think it's necessarily like a skill floor or a skill ceiling situation. I think it's just an understanding situation. Like because with blight, if I can explain how blight works in like 3 sentences.
yeah,
You know what
that's
I
fair.
mean? With singularity,
Yeah,
it's like maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs I'd had to get through everything. Um,
yeah.
but I think some people
He
oversell like how complicated that actually is because it's really not. You know what I mean?
When they're talking about complicated Larry, they're talking about people who have already like gotten somewhat competent with the killer, and they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to tie all the things together in a single game, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they are good with their chases, they know the mind games, they know good built as a utility robot and sent with, the
Yeah.
Gabriel clone and all that jazz up to Devarka.
Yeah. So
And then he built the body himself, like the body that he's in now, he built it on his own time with organic matter.
yeah. So I guess he'd be an android then. Okay, we'll talk about this in a little. This is a can of worms. Yeah. What someone's gonna. I'm waiting for the 3 paragraph essay on the differences. Um. So. Yeah. Back to family photo though.
Right, right.
At with how often it's used though, like
Mhm.
should it just be base kit? Honestly,
I've heard that a lot. I've
Like,
heard many, 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 many people say, like, "Just make some a family photo base kit."
including the
And I'm gonna be
downside.
honest with you.
Including the
Yeah,
downside.
I'm yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want that. Um, at least not the way that it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like what they could do is they could do, like, the Ghostface thing where they give him a little bit of haste base kit, not the whole what is it, 5%? I think it's
It's
5% on
5.
Soma.
It's 5, yeah.
It's 5, yeah. Yeah. So they could give him, a little bit of base kit haste and then tone down the add-on, because I think they did that with, like, Ghostface's recovery add-ons a little bit ago.
They did. They did.
His power recovery, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if they were gonna do anything, that's what I would like to see, because that would also kinda balance the add-on out a little bit, but it would also make it so that people don't feel the need to use it every game.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, Ghostface, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but I think it's Chewed Pin. That's the one that lowers the cooldown.
Mhm.
Before his rework, that was everyone would bring it on every build with Ghostface. It was like it had like a 90% pick rate.
I was
Um,
guilty of that too, I'm
yeah.
gonna be real.
And then when the rework happened, like it was still up there. It was like I think like 60, 70%, but it went down. Like people didn't feel like like you said, people didn't feel like they had to run it.
Yeah, and then you
Um,
start seeing, like, add-on variety.
yeah, then you start seeing dumb builds like mine. uh
Love that build, by the way.
It's great. I love my no brain Larry build. For those who don't know, you clearly don't follow me on Twitter and should. It's iridescent crystal, which we're going to talk about in a second. Any other add-on, it really doesn't matter what the second one is. Uh, oh my god, lethal pursuer, barbecue and chili. Save the best for last. Rapid brutality or lightborn. It depends on how you're feeling. I run lightborn a lot because as much as people hate that perk, usually when I'm playing off stream, I'm listening to podcasts or music. So I do not want to think about anything. I can dodge flashlights, okay? I know how to look at a wall, okay? But not having to think about it just is nice sometimes. Well, I bring it when there's not even any flashlights in the lobby. Uh, but yeah, it's
That's
just
based.
yeah, it's just a no. Well, that's the thing. I had someone get mad at me for bringing Lightborn once. I was playing on stream at the time actually, and they got mad at me for it. And I was like, dude, check the VOD back. They're like, why did you bring Lightborn for no flashlights? It's like because I didn't want to think of it because they were bringing flashbangs is what happened.
Oh my god, I was gonna say, I don't care about flashlights, like, flashlights are kinda whatever, I hate flashbangs. Like, I don't think they're busted or anything, but it's so annoying, like, I shoved my face into a concrete wall. Why did I still get blinded when you threw it at the back of my head?
I think my favorite thing about flashbangs is how the sound works on them when they're dropped. And I think that's one of the most skillful things you can do with them. I have a
Mhm.
clip somewhere of someone doing it in RPD. They dropped a flashbang around the corner I was about to turn, so I didn't hear it. You know how normally someone will throw one in your face and like you'll just look up and you look away from it. I didn't even hear it, so I literally rounded the corner right into a flashlight. Looked like an
Oh my
absolute
god.
idiot. But it was so cool because I watched the VOD back and I was like, oh, because I saw them like run in front of me, like ahead of me down the hall, and I was confused at what they were doing. And then yeah, it was great. I think it's
It's always
something.
funny when they have background player and they just come, like, f you pick somebody up and they just come flying out of, like, cool they come flying out of, like, center stage, just run in front of you as, like, a drive-by, they just past your face, and then you're like, "Oh, well, okay.
Someone
This is happening."
someone wanted me to talk about background player in my like my worst designed perks thing, and I'm like, no, background player isn't badly designed at all. It's annoying. It's not badly designed though.
I just don't like playing against it.
Neither do I. But I've talked about this on other things. It's like just because I don't have fun again because it's on a timer.
Mhm.
And on top of that, some of them only work on like people you're not currently in chase with. This is like I said, this add-on like gets rid of both of those problems.
Mhm.
Um, One, it's not really on a timer once again, unless they go for EMPs. It's argumentative, but it's also the only like blindness add-on that I can think of that like realistically works in chase at all times while you're chasing. Like if you're chasing somebody and you just goop them up, well, there goes their windows. They don't have windows of opportunity anymore.
Yeah.
And
That's the whole reason I started using it.
I've gotten so many hits because of this add-on. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it still runs into the same problems blindness always does, where you don't really know if it was the reason you got a hit, but sometimes you can just tell. Um, I mean, I remember I was on Gardner Joy once, and someone went left instead of right because they thought the pallet was there and it wasn't. So even though there was a pallet on the left, so I'm like 99% sure blindness got me that hit, but I really don't know in the end of the day. Uh,
Yeah. When I was first picking up the killer and learning him, I was using it just exclusively for like windows of opportunity gamers because I was seeing it like every game. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna. I don't really want to use Soma because I'm still learning, so I'm trying not to mess up my muscle memory or nothing like that.
mm,
So I stuck on the cremated remains, and then I played against a streamer, and I was slugging because that's what I heard was like, okay, well, this is probably a good way to get pressure with this killer. And I was doing it just for Windows, and then I realized that the blindness was actually like it was like a discount knockout kind of.
mm.
And I know that kind of seems obvious, but like it was that game that it clicked in my brain where I was watching it from their point of view and I actually saw like how strong it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've talked about blindness a lot because I still think it's underrated as hell. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's just really good. And for those curious, it does not get rid of the auras for his boxes. Um,
No, it does
no,
not.
yeah, no blindness add-on affects killer powers anymore. Um,
He does have an add-on that affects the crate auras though, and it is, in my opinion, his worst add-on. That would be the heavy water.
yeah, and I think here's the thing with that add-on. I think the idea is there. I once again, I think it's another one of those add-ons that, let's say it does do something, right? Let's say somehow it saved two of your cameras you had in the corner because they didn't know a box was like nearby. Let's say in
Mhm.
theory it does that. You have no idea it did that. Like there's no possible way for you to know it did anything, even if it did. Um, on top of that, it's the effect isn't even that. How much does it reduce it by? It's like 8 meters.
It is, let me check. Um, Heavy water, yeah, it reduces it by 8 meters.
8 meters.
The thing is that add-on does absolutely nothing. Even when it's in use, it does nothing, and I'll tell you why. It's because, if the survivors are not slipstreamed and
Hmm.
they are not carrying an EMP, they can see the crates within a 32-meter radius. Um, if they are slipstreamed, it is global, like, they can see every crate on the map.
Oh,
So, the add-on does nothing. It does when it needs to do something, it does nothing.
oh, I didn't even know that. I just learned something. Okay,
Yeah.
then take back once again, making me look like an idiot on my own podcast.
I'm
Take
so sorry.
take back what I just said. I mean, my point still stands. I mean
I'm
but
so
yeah, it's what the fuck? Why?
sorry.
Like I
I get
understand
my
it,
point.
but okay. Any other useless add-ons he has?
Um, let's see. The broken security key, I know a lot of people don't like that add-on, but I think it's fine for a brown. Um, it just makes the EMP reboot timer a little bit shorter, which is it has its uses. Although the big argument for that one is like, well, you can just replace the cam, so it doesn't matter.
All right, yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, if it's across the map, I don't really want to walk over there just to replace the camera. I'd rather just have it passively
Yeah.
reboot a little bit. But
I'm
I mean, it's a
curious.
brown.
Yeah, and I'm also curious if someone's done the math on it, how much time it can realistically save you in a match. Because do you know Liquor Tongue on Nemesis?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the hinder one, right?
yeah. Someone's done the math on it. It's like in a perfect world, it saves you a grand total of 1.5 seconds.
Wow,
Not per
that is
chase, not per chase.
the whole match
The whole
duration.
match.
Wow.
If in theory you hit every single survivor and 12 hook them with your whip, only your whip, and they run in the perfectly straight line, which arguably that's not a thing, but well, sometimes it is. But yeah, it'll save you about 1.5 seconds.
Wow. That's awful. Wow.
That's
That's terrible.
yes, yes, and it's
You
also
have, on average, like, how many chases do you have in a game? Like, what, 6 to 8, maybe?
yeah,
Maybe give or take.
yeah. So it's
Damn.
probably actually only saving you. And once again, that's if in theory you're tail attacking or whip attacking every single person, but you don't even do that as Nemesis most of the time. You know,
Right.
you take the giant fist punches when you can. Uh,
Unless you're a Giga Chad and you just do M2 only.
yeah, and then they pre-drop every pallet and duck under every window, and then I feel like an idiot, even though it's just part of the game.
I can't play Nemesis either.
Um,
I try. I think he's fun.
yeah. Also, does he have a mangled add-on at all?
He does. It's a yellow. And what that does is they're actually changing it because of the mangle changes coming up
Right.
on the PTB.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What it does now on live is if it just applies mangled if you hit them while you're in overclock. Uh, is it? Yeah, it's just mangled. It's not hemorrhage.
Mm,
Um, but what they're actually nerfing that add-on. They're putting it on a timer, and I think it's like if you hit somebody in overclock, they're mangled for 60 seconds, I think.
probably that's what most of them are changing to is 60 seconds.
I think because it's a yellow, so I'm not sure exactly of what that number is, but I guess we'll find out when the patch goes live.
Yeah, mangled
But I do know
is
that they're putting it on timer.
yeah mangled. I don't know why they're changing mangled.
I wish
like
they wouldn't.
like I don't know any survivors out there that were complaining about mangled.
For people that are still running self-care and keeping it in the top 10 most used survivor perks.
But like maybe, but whatever. I don't know. You know the funny thing about mangled is it's actually it's this is really. I was talking to somebody about this a couple days ago. Um, they just released the Alan Wake perk a deadline, which was like kind of
Mhm,
like a silent buff to autodidact. Uh,
mhm.
this mangled change actually nerfs autodidact again.
Oh my god. That poor perk. That poor perk. It's gone through so many, like, ups and downs.
It's out of that it's funny because like it never gets buffed or nerfed like directly. Everything that like when it gets buffed or nerfed, it's always something else around it.
It gets power crept like crazy.
Yeah, because it was like, oh, it's so bad, and then like Deadline came out, and it's like, oh, this perk's actually pretty okay now. It's like, oh, cool, cool, cool. Now we're nerfing Mangled. Great. All right,
Yeah,
great.
when Autodidact first came out, people wrote it off like, "Oh, well, this is a waste of time and there's no guarantee you're gonna get skill checks, so this perk's not very good."
I think
And
if
then people realized, like, "Wait a minute, we can heal immediately." And then, like, a year after it came out, people were like, "Wait a minute, this perk is really good." So then they started using it more, and then you started seeing it in a lot of, like, like, higher level games.
mhm.
And I think you still see it in higher level game I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the comp scene right now.
Well, because comp has perk restrictions, so
Yeah.
not
I
people
don't
can't
think they
run.
can.
Yeah, they well, no, they're allowed to bring it. They just can't bring because they can't bring like the same perks. Like not all four people can bring the same exhaustion perk.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, like, they have to have, like, I actually like watching comp, like, casually, like, I could never be a part of that, like, I get stressed out and overwhelmed way too easily, so I
mhm.
could never but I like watching it because I think it's fun to watch, and a big reason for that is because of the fact that there are perk restrictions, so a lot of it is, there you see a lot more perk variety in a competitive game than you would in, like, a public game
Yeah, for sure.
where
Well,
everybody's
well,
just running the same exhaustion perk, the same, adrenaline windows, yada yada.
life, distortion, calm spirit, and
Mhm.
adrenaline. Okay. uh, the sad thing about all the meta perks in the game, especially on the survivor side, I really don't think any of them are like overpowered. I just don't like seeing the same four or five or six or so every match. That's my only problem with it.
I mean,
Um,
I lived through 2019 DBD when it was DS Unbreakable Adrenaline Dead Hard like every game,
oh yeah,
and that was
it was
that was terrible.
it,
Oh my
it
god.
was the four double letters. It was a DS DH UB AD.
Yeah. You'd have the occasional like person running sprint burst in there too, but like I mean, after I lived through that dark period of Dead by Daylight, I think the meta right now is fine. Like I actually see a lot of varied perks on Survivor. Like even if it's like, oh, this person is running an anti-tunnel build, this person's running a gen rush build, this person's running a healing build. Like it's still variety. Like some of them are annoying, sure, but it's a lot better than it was.
Yeah. Also, for people who hate adrenaline, you know what I'm gonna say.
I hate adrenaline.
Run Terminus. Okay, I'll stop. Terminus is such a strange perk. Like, I see so many people complain about adrenaline, and no one runs Terminus. It irritates me so much.
It's
That,
a good perk.
yeah, the literal counter to it is right there, and no one uses
Yeah.
it. NOED's also a counter to it, and no
I
one
was
uses.
gonna say, why run Terminus? We could just run NoEd.
Well, once again, run NOED. Go ahead, go for it. No one does it for some reason, but do it. Um, yeah, NOED's a weird one. I feel like it's like a pride thing. If I'm
Yeah.
honest with you, because like honestly, there wasn't like um there wasn't like a stigma behind running it. I would probably run it more often. uh
After they changed it in like the big the I was it
6.1.
changed in like the big meta shakeup.
Yeah, it was changed to
I think it
6.1.
was changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, before that it was considered like a no skill perk, like only people who were really bad run it. Like I mean, I don't think that's true. That's kind of like the stigma that was around it
it's
or like
it
the stereotype, I guess.
it's a killer's or last chance. It's a Hail Mary perk. But people don't
Yeah.
like it because when a Hail Mary works, the other side is it feels like that nothing they did mattered.
I don't run it because I play Survivor and I know how bad that shit feels to get hit by. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the same reason I don't generally like gen regression perks because I play both sides
Hmm.
and I know how aggravating it is to sit there and hold M1 on a gen for 20 years only to have somebody else get downed and hooked and then I just lost like 50% of my gen because the killer had pop pain res.
Yeah, I think the happy medium is two gen regression perks. Because I mean, like I'm doing the best build on Chucky right now, the 50
Mhm.
games, and I had a salty player last night, because they were like, "You're running that build on like one of the best killers in the game." Listen, man, I'm sorry, I don't usually run this shit. I don't know. I was getting data.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? But yeah, but people who normally do it, I don't know. I feel like
I don't fault people for running it. Like it's like I don't blame one side or the other. Like it's just the way that the game is. It's why it's a meta. I mean, the killers run gen regression perks because they feel like the gens go too fast, and then because the survivors are playing against a whole bunch of gen slowdown perks, then they're bringing generator repair perks. Deja vu, hyper focus, toolboxes,
mhm,
and it's like I don't blame them for that. Like if I go into a game with no slowdown and the survivors had just gone against like a blight with pop pain res corrupt jolt or something,
mhm.
then it's like it's not their fault. They don't know. I didn't know. It's just kind of the way the game is.
I think a lot of times the easiest way to kind of quote fix the meta isn't even because I know people are calling for like nerfs on certain meta perks. Honestly, I think really the biggest change they could do is buffing their counters.
Mhm.
Because Pop Goes the Weasel has two counters. One of them I see sometimes. One of them I probably seen twice in my entire time playing this game. Uh, First one is Blast Mine. It doesn't
Mhm.
outright counter it, but you'd be surprised how many killers wait last second to use their pop, and it will stop them from using it. Uh, the second one, and I know one runs this perk, is Repressed Alliance.
Mhm.
Um, Repressed Alliance is one of the most, I don't want to say underappreciated perks in the game, but it counters almost every meta perk in the game on the killer side. Um,
It's a very, very underrated perk.
I wouldn't even say that because I understand why people don't run it because think of it this way: you're sitting on a gen for 60 seconds to block it for 45. What are you supposed to do for those 45 seconds?
Right.
Um,
Go to a different gen?
I think that's ideally what you want to do. On top of
Get
that,
chased?
yeah, on top of that, a lot of times, people will use it and then the killer won't even wasn't even planning on popping the gens. They're like, oh, it didn't do anything. I think it could have though. Uh, but yeah, like I said, for adrenaline, it's like terminus exists. Run terminus more often. Prove thyself is very common. Run discordance. It doesn't counter it, but it gives you aura reading that distortion doesn't stop. Like there's a lot of things that like counter these things or like work around them that I just don't see used enough for whatever reason.
Yeah. I think
Um,
a lot of people are uncomfortable like switching up their builds too, because that's why they're meta, right? Like people don't want to take off their windows or their adrenaline because it's like their comfort perks. I mean, especially if they're playing like solo queue
mhm.
and they're using windows to see which pallets their teammates have thrown because they don't have that communication.
Yeah,
Like I think it comes down to people just don't that they're unwilling to change because it's out of their comfort zone.
yeah. I mean, I run Bond a lot on Survivor, and the moment I get blinded while I have Bond, I fucking lose my shit. But uh, it's infuriating because it's Bond. By the way, is a perk that I feel like more people need to fucking use.
I love that
Especially
perk.
in solo queue. Oh, but it just shows you your auras. You can't the auras. You can't do anything with it. The fuck you can't. Do you know how valuable it is to know where almost everyone is on the map at all times? Like, there's a lot of times when I'll be getting chased and I'll start running towards a gen and realize, oh, my teammate's right there. I should probably run the other direction. Or like I know when someone's coming for a heal, or I know I can find gen through walls using it. You know what I mean? Like, plus if
I
you,
think it's a very good like anti-sandbag perk because if I see somebody running at me and they're getting chased because I can see them getting chased on the HUD, it's like go for crazy, wacky plays. So I feel like a lot of the like the goofy elements have kind of been removed, not removed, but they've been toned down. So the game is in such a healthy state where people just they take it a little bit more seriously.
yeah, and I think to add to that is like I think a lot of people are really putting too much weight on the idea of getting a win.
Yeah,
Um, and I
MMR and all that.
yeah, and well, it's not even just the MMR because here's the thing that confuses me with that argument, where it's like, oh, the MMR encourages people to win, and then people complain when they get high MMR. So which is it? It can't be both.
Yeah.
Um,
People just they don't like taking the small wins in their games. They need to 4K or they need to escape. They can't be like, "Well, I had a really good chase this game, so that was a good game." Or I got 10 hooks this game even though they got 3 out on me. I think I'm not good with math. I don't know if that's but you get my point.
yeah, but then
But I mean taking
I was just gonna say I think the other problem, and I think this is something the archive challenges try to fix, but don't really do a good job because there's not enough of them. Um, there's really nothing else to go for. Like,
yeah.
okay, I'm a content creator. You stream. You don't really do the YouTube
Mhm.
as much. So like, I'm going for clips. I'm going for things I can use in videos. I'm going for like, I'm like collecting data so I can put it on Twitter, things like that. But like
Mhm.
the average player who's just playing the game, once they hit Iridescent 1, once they do all their archive challenges, which granted still takes a little bit, but not as long as I think some people make it out to take. Um,
Mhm.
what do they have to go for after that? Other than
I mean, they
winning?
just I mean, I guess it I mean, they kinda just play without a goal or they're playing with their friends if they're playing Survivor. But you're right, it's kinda just their goal becomes way more, like, short term. Like, I'm gonna try and win this game, not I'm gonna try and do my tome challenge.
Yeah, because I mean, I know people aren't the biggest fan of like games being grindy or like the game should be so fun that I just play it to play it. But it's like at the end of the day, if there's no like extrinsic goal, then why like a lot of people don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think of a game that used to do it, but it's like oh Halo, the Master Chief Collection. It had it has like weekly challenges that like kind of force you to use other guns.
Yeah.
So, the game doesn't become stale. It's like, oh, well, they could just add the variety themselves. They could be like,
Mhm.
you know what, today I'm going to use this gun so I can get better with it. People don't work that way. Like some people do, but like a lot of people
Yeah.
don't. They need a reason to try something new, and it can't just be
Yeah.
like
Well, it's like
self.
the
Go ahead.
it's like the daily rituals, right? Like people get them every day and they'll just delete them because I don't play this killer, you know?
Yeah,
Like I feel like the goal of them is to try and get people to branch out and try new things and hey, just do something really simple with this killer, see how you like it. And people just like, well, I don't want to play knight or I don't want to play trickster. So then they delete it and then they get something that they're already familiar with and then the cycle repeats.
I'm guilty. Well, in my defense, I usually only do it not because of the killer, but because of what the challenge is.
Some of
Uh,
them are like some of them have no right to be as tedious as they are.
Blights and plagues are the two that I'm just like, why are these the way they are?
I will always delete blight dailies just because I don't know why I need to get downs. Why can't I just get hits?
Yeah, plagues. I hate plagues so much. Um, do you know what plagues is?
It's you have to hit 4 fully infected survivors, right?
Yeah, with an M1.
With an M1.
Yes,
Oh.
that's why I
I
hate it.
I I don't mind that one too much. I just bring the brown add-on, the brown pro tablet where you can't puke on them, you just puke on the gens.
I
So I just do that and then they get fully infected.
I
I don't take issue with that one.
I don't like that one because I feel like it makes you play her badly. Like you have to play her
Mm.
badly to.
You're ranking the killers on like a linear scale. Like there's always gonna be a bottom. Like there's no avoiding that. But that's not to say that they're unplayable just because they're the bottom 2. Like you can I mean, you're gonna have a harder time, but you can still do well.
Yeah, and I think another big problem with it is Clown is probably the prime example for this. I didn't play Clown for so long because so many people told me he was bad.
Mhm.
Um, he was my main for 2 years.
Wow.
After
2
I
years.
started actually playing him and realizing that no, people just don't know what they're talking about.
Was it before or after his rework?
That was after his rework.
Did you play him before his rework?
I did not. That I understand. And that's another problem because it's like Skull Merchant. I think still lives in the shadow of her former self.
Yeah.
I think a lot of killers do. Uh, Particularly Skull. I think Skull Merchant and Clown are probably the two best examples of that. Killers that their reworks kind of followed them, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how much you try to prove that no, they're actually fine now or good or in like a better place. It doesn't matter because people just remember what they were.
I feel bad for Skull Merchant players because I actually like her after her rework. Like I hated like the 3 gen meta, quote unquote. Like it was so it's not that it was like it's not that it was I mean it was strong, but it was also really boring. Like it was
Yeah,
super boring.
yeah.
Um and I feel like Skull Merchant people have like some crazy like I, can I
PTSD.
say PTS?
Yes, PTSD.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. So
It's technically the appropriate term. So, um,
yeah, but they're like traumatized from 3 gen merchant. And I feel bad because I actually really enjoy playing as and I enjoy playing against the new Skull Merchant. I think she's fun and I feel like she's not that difficult to counter. I feel like people are just so like anti Skull Merchant that they just refuse to learn how to counter her.
well, and I think it's also a case of it's a mob mentality. It just
Mhm.
really is. It's like okay, well, 10 people are saying she's bad. Therefore, I should probably agree with those 10 people rather than like the two that are saying no, she's fine. Even though, and here's the thing, because the Pixel Bush video is out already, so I'm gonna talk about some of the comments I got on that.
Mhm.
I have never had to delete more comments from a video than that one.
I can imagine.
It currently
I can
has
imagine the kind of comments.
it currently has about 42 comments on it right now. Because I check it daily. Um, to make sure that there aren't any bad ones in there. Um, I still talk to Pixel. I've actually been keeping him updated on it. Uh, I say this so many times. If your argument begins or ends with anything even close to the phrase, you dumb shit, I don't care what anything else you have to say is.
I mean, if you're gonna just come in and insult, like, your opinion's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, I had someone this one like I like this one wasn't like salty or like offensive or anything. It really just got under my skin. Someone told me in Pixel Bush to get over ourselves for saying that the killer is harder than people make her out to be.
That's unreal.
Like, no, we're
Why
not.
would they come into your YouTube channel and be like, "Get over yourself. Stop making content about of you surrounding yourself." Like,
Well,
what is
one
that
the,
mentality?
the funny thing about that, that's like a 3 hour, 3.5 hour podcast. So it's like, and we don't even really start talking about that kind of stuff until like 2 hours in. So you mean to tell me you watched at least 2 hours in just to comment? Listen here, you dumb shit. Like, or no, get over yourselves. Which is
Oh my lord.
which is even funnier because in the video we both make it clear that we are aware that sometimes we come off as pretentious and condescending.
Right.
We're not like we're not unknowing of it. We do, but I don't know. I think for especially in Pixel's case, he's just on like a he's just on the defensive so much about it because no one will give him a chance on it. And I don't.
Yeah.
It's just so sad to see sometimes. Uh,
It really is. I mean, I'm a smaller content creator,
mhm.
just kind of just a casual thing, but I have a lot of respect for like the larger streamers and the larger content creators just for the sheer amount of crap they put up with. Um,
I,
Especially someone like Pixelbush who's playing an unpopular killer that people despise with all their heart and soul for no apparent reason. Like I can't imagine the crap that he gets on the daily. Like I respect it.
I get
Like
it.
that guy's a saint.
To get a little my DMs are open on Twitter, and that's because it makes this job easier for
Mhm.
getting people on the podcast. But I get at least 2 or 3 death threats a day
What?
because
No.
I main Chucky.
What?
Yes,
Are you serious?
yes.
People are so unhinged.
Yeah, at least 2 or 3 death threats a day. I got a dox threat once, which made no sense to me because I don't care about that. I live for those who want to know where I live. I'm not going to give my address. I live on 647 Negra Aurora Lane. But
Like doxed yourself in the middle of a podcast.
yeah,
That's fine.
yeah, there we go.
That's fine.
That was a Breaking Bad reference. Um, but I live in the middle of like I live in the South, in the middle of a bumfuck pass through town. If you guys want to dox me, I'm pretty sure everyone who ever comes to my house is probably going to get shot. Let's just say those kinds of people don't last very long in a town like I live in.
I can't imagine that somebody would want to spend just humoring this sentiment, right? Like I can't
Oh,
imagine that somebody would want to spend money on like a plane ticket
it's like
or a bus ticket just because somebody played a character in Dead by Daylight that they did not like.
I was a I've talked about this before. I was a private investigator for about a year. Um,
Mhm.
some of the shit I have seen people do. Spite is a hell of a motivator. Uh, even
People
self
are terrifying.
even self-inflicted spite, it's a hell of a motivator. Uh,
But over a video game?
I don't know. It's like when I was talking with Bran. I was telling him how some people have been telling me like, I thought you two hated each other. Like, why? He doesn't like Chucky. Okay.
Okay, and and
Cool. I don't like Knight. Me and the person who I won't name, even though if you're on my Twitter, you probably already know who it is.
mm,
We're civil. Like, I don't. I think people just take it too personally. Like, I don't get it, and I never
they do.
will. Um,
I think that when it comes to like characters like Skull Merchant, like I feel like a lot of it is I feel like the DVD community is very prone to like parroting what other people say, and they're just to put it bluntly, they're not very good at coming up with their own opinions. They kind of just go with the crowd.
well, I mean that's human nature, but I think
Yeah.
another problem with it is let's say I'm not going to name who it is, but people know who it is. There's a particular content creator who really doesn't like Skull Merchant. Um, and he made a video on why her rework didn't matter and why she's still bad. He has not really made a follow up video since then. Even though he's gone on record saying he doesn't hate Skull Merchant that much anymore after
Hmm.
making that video. He's talked to Pixel Bush, and Pixel Bush kind of helped him change his mind. Um, but because he never really made a follow up, and even if he did, no one's going to really watch it because of how YouTube works. You know, if you're not hating on something, no one cares. Uh, like that initial thought is all people care about now, and that's what's in their
Yeah.
brains with it. Once again, and you know, I studied psychology and sociology for 2 years too. That's human nature. That's how we're hardwired to work. I understand that. Change is hard for humans, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I wish people would just give some of these killers a shot, and I wish I would get more criticisms other than just. And I know you said it a second ago, but you elaborated a bit, so it was fine. But oh, they're just boring.
Yeah.
That's not a criticism. What is that actually? I don't know what that means to you because boring and fun are subjective.
It's just a personal preference.
Yeah, because you know I've gone on record saying that like in Rainbow Six Siege, I don't fire my gun half the time.
Yeah.
I just look on
Yeah.
cameras. I find that fun. I find that extremely fun. I like the birds in the eye of like controlling and giving callouts. I think it's fun as hell. Part of the reason why I like
Yeah.
Larry because like he kind of like has that fantasy, even though it's
Hmm.
not that way in practice most of the time. But still, the idea is there. Um, but
I
yeah,
mean, like that's your experience, right? Like that's how you get enjoyment out of your free time where you're sitting down and you're trying to chill and you're trying to play video games. Like it shouldn't matter what other people think about that. Like that is your fun. That is
mm,
not somebody else's fun.
yeah, and you know I'm gonna bring this up with Chucky, because I've had a lot of criticism about this idea that, well, if you think Chucky should be nerfed, you should stop playing him then. First off, that doesn't fix anything. If anything, it makes it harder to change him because then the stats don't go up and behavior doesn't feel like they have to. Second off, just because I disagree with a design philosophy on a certain killer doesn't mean I'm just gonna stop playing them, right? Because I don't even play Chucky because he's
Right.
good. But a lot of people give me a quote a pass, um, which is
A
really funny.
pass. A Chucky
I've
pass.
heard people use that exact phrasing. They're like, "No, we give Bennett a pass because he actually enjoys the franchise and the character." It's like, okay, I get what they're trying to say with that, but it's like, you know, not everyone playing Chucky is just playing him because Scamper. You know,
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
I
It's
mean, both are valid. I mean, if you like the character and you like the franchise, that's valid. If you like how the character plays and you don't give a shit about the franchise, that's also valid.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, because I don't know. Scamp is a weird topic. I've gone on record. I want it gone, or not gone, but nerfed. I want it nerfed so hard.
Yeah. I think most people do.
Um, and you know, I think people tend to forget that. It's like, oh, well, you still scampered. Well, I try to go out of my way not to scamper, unless the situation like absolutely calls for it. Like I showed that
Mhm.
clip last night of me playing on Gideon's. It dates this video, whatever. Um, I'll be playing on Gideon's, and it's like, you scamper. Like someone got mad at me for scampering so much, bro. It's Gideon's.
It's like God Palette City. Like, what are you
Like,
supposed to do? You can't play any of the titles.
like what? Okay.
They just want you to lose.
I guess. Uh, and you know, people getting
But it's like,
mad about builds. People getting
yeah,
like I said, like this game is just. It's not the worst community I've been in. Um, not
I've
by
been
a
in the Overwatch community. I feel that.
yeah, not by a long. I've been in the Overwatch community, the League of Legends community, the Rainbow Six Siege
Mhm.
community. The only gaming community I've ever been in that has been extremely positive has been Deep Rock Galactic. That's it,
Mhm.
and I will praise that game till the day I die because it's just that good. More people need to play it. Um, but Deep Rock Galactic is also a co-op game.
Mm.
So there's like, of course, it's not that toxic. You don't get anything for being toxic.
Right.
Like,
You have to cooperate to do I don't know anything about Deep Rock Galactic, but I would assume it's like you're rewarded with good gameplay for
yeah, well,
cooperating with
there's even a
your
thing.
teammate.
Yeah, there's even a thing in the game where there's a meme like "No Dwarf Left Behind" where you'll see
Yeah.
video clips of people doing like the most batshit insane thing just to save somebody. Um, do you,
Mhm.
do you know what you get for having all four people survive?
What?
Basically nothing.
What?
Yeah, basically not. You get like 5% more loot. That's it. But I have seen people do some ridiculous shit just to save somebody. It's just
Just for the flex.
it's just, not even for the flex, just because it's just how the game is. People
Yeah.
are just so
That's funny.
nice. Yeah,
That's oddly wholesome.
yeah. It's a very wholesome community. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, it's like, and I always joke about it being a cult. Go to any video that has anything to do with like dwarves of any kind. Scroll down a bit, and you will see a Deep Rock Galactic person who types "rock and stone," and there is like 70 responses of just "rock and stone, brother," like the whole way down. Um, it's such a wholesome community. It's also the only game where like I ever like actually just don't care about playing it. Sometimes I'll literally load
Mhm.
in like I'll assign a mission. People will join me in like the lobby area, the hub area, and we'll just hang out in there for like 2 hours
Yeah.
and not do anything.
No, wholesome communities. I mean, you probably know a lot more about this than I do, but and rest in peace. But like, I've heard that the VHS community was also very, very wholesome.
It
In the sense that like people would be, you'd have like the veterans of the game who were really good. They knew what to do, and they would get matched with a newer player because of the matchmaking times.
yeah,
And they would go easy on them because they know that they're learning, and they would they'd turn it off.
yeah.
And I've seen examples of that where they're like, "Well, this guy's not gonna learn if I just wipe the floor with him, and then he's not gonna keep playing."
So VHS was in a strange situation with that because that wasn't because of how the game operated necessarily.
Mhm.
The only reason it was really like that is because of how small the community was.
Yeah, I know it
Um,
was very, very small towards the end.
because at the beginning of the game's life cycle, no, it was not like that at all. People were
Mhm.
very, not everybody, mind you, but a lot of the community was very tryhardy in like the worst kind of way. Um, which is part of why it died. Uh,
Yeah.
but once it got towards the end, even before we all knew, because thing a lot of us knew it was dying. We knew it was coming. But
Yeah.
even like I think like me and a couple other content creators knew like 3 or 4 months before it even got announced that it was happening. But we had to keep the smiles on and all that stuff. I really do miss that game sometimes. But my favorite thing about VHS, and once again, it's something that can't happen because if it did, then the reason I enjoyed it was part of the reason it died. And that
Oh,
was
no.
that was how tight knit everybody was. A lot of times I would get
Right.
in lobbies with people I knew, like 3 or 4
Mhm.
times a night. And I haven't really gotten an experience in a multiplayer game in a very long time. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. Rest in peace, VHS. I really wish they would sell it to somebody, but
I
whatever.
wish I got the opportunity to get more into it. Like, I tried it, I really did, and there was something about it that it failed to hook me in. And I think it
It's
was because I tried to play Monster and I had issues with the tracking in it because 'cause I'm a DVD player, I'm used to
mhm,
seeing, like, scratch marks and blood,
yeah,
and I feel like the tracking in that game being so much more sound reliant, like, it threw me off and I wasn't used to it, so I would lose my chases fairly quickly, and there
yeah,
was something about it that just felt very, like, difficult to get into. Plus, I started really trying to play it towards the end of its lifespan, so you were seeing, like, experienced players getting matched with newer players, so I was just getting, it was difficult to learn, that's all. But
yeah,
I people are so passionate about that game, like, the people that live through it, like, you know, um, I've seen, there's clips of it going around when the servers closed, like, they were there for the last minute and they were just sobbing hysterically when the server like, the game meant so much to a lot of people, and I'm kinda sad that I missed out on that.
yeah. I wasn't there for the end because I was at work, but
Mhm.
a lot of my streamer friends, because I met a lot of streamers to that game too. Because there was only like maybe like 10 or 15 of us, so we all knew each other. And once it was just when the servers closed down, we were all very sad. But like once again, we all saw it coming. We knew what was happening. We just
Yeah.
it was a matter of when and not if.
Right.
But like it's the biggest problems with that game were the people playing it. It was a situation of like it was only experienced players really, so new players kind of didn't stand a chance sometimes, and it was very difficult to learn. The tutorial wasn't very good either. Um, the update they did to fix like how slow the game was sometimes for Monster
Hmm.
didn't happen until like a year after the game came out. Because that one they did one update where they basically the game was good. The game was very good. Like
Hmm.
it was always good, but like it became even better because they fixed the one issue of once the teens have had their weapons, the monsters would hide a lot and like be very skittish. But they made one
Hmm.
change where the monster gets a little indicator if someone is nearby with a weapon. Took
The
them,
danger sense, right?
yeah, it took them a year to add that.
Hmm.
Once they added that, the game was so much fun. But by that point, everyone was already gone. Um, and I hate to say it, I think they were too generous with their monetization.
Mm.
I know that's kind of like a hot take a bit, but they were not making money from the game because
Yeah.
the other problem with a bunch of veteran players is we all had the currency.
It was fairly easy to get from what I understand. I mean,
Yeah,
the premium, did it have a premium currency?
it had a premium currency, but you could buy basically anything with the in game currency as well.
Ah,
Um,
they tried to be nice and it bit him in the ass.
to a degree, once again, like I get what they were doing, but like yeah, when your player base is that low, you can't. Like I feel like some people forget there's at the end of the day it is a business.
Right.
Um, but like I do give DBZ shit for some of its monetization stuff, but once again, I would rather them do that than them go under. And it's not like they're rolling in money. Like I don't think Matthew
Yeah.
Cote is a fucking millionaire. like um
No. My big, like, criticism about the DVD, monetization is I feel like the game should be free to play with the amount of content that there is nowadays. I mean, it was understandable, like, a couple years ago when we didn't have the Rift and
yeah.
we had fewer DLCs and there was fewer cosmetic. Like, there's so much stuff in the game right now, I feel like that they could probably, I mean, I'm not a game developer. I went to school for video game art and design.
Mhm,
That's what my college degree was in,
mhm.
but I was never on, like, the business side of things, so I'm not very savvy to that. But I feel like that they could probably make it free to play just with the sheer amount of content there is in the game right now.
Yeah, for sure. I really don't know why they don't. I'm sure there's some
Yeah.
background reason why they don't. But yeah, I know I talk about this a lot, but DRG Deep Rock Galactic is $30 at
Mhm.
base. It goes on sale at least 4 or 5 times a year. I bought it for $5 on
Oh, wow.
sale. Um, there is no in-game monetization at all. Um, even it has a free battle pass, 100% free.
Mhm.
Um, the only monetization this game has is there are some cosmetics that you can buy, but they're not even like actual outfits for the most part. They're just skins, so like
Mhm.
colors. Um, they're like $9 or $10. There are people who love this game so much and the company making it, they just buy them just to support the game. A lot of people don't even like them, like a lot of the
Oh, wow.
skins. They just buy them to support the game. Um, and like they're understanding. They're like, yeah, this game has to make money, so I'll drop them some money.
Yeah.
Like and I wish more
Especially, like, indie
companies.
developers.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like, big respect.
yeah. Like I feel like more game companies need to do that. Like I shouldn't feel like I have to pay for stuff.
Mhm.
I should feel like I want to buy it.
Yeah.
And I know there's exceptions to that, DLCs and expansion passes and characters. And Dead by Daylight's in a weird spot because it has licensed characters. So, like, I understand the legalese, or I don't understand the legalese behind it, but like, they kind of have to sell it for real money, and you can't earn it. So, yeah, that's
Yeah, and I mean, I would imagine that this is just a theory, but I would imagine they probably don't make a lot of money off the license content because they still have to pay the license holders, you know?
Yeah. Well,
So I would imagine that
I
a lot of their money probably comes from the original content, which you can buy that for free if you grind.
yeah. And then, skins, it's like I personally think the way they do the rips is fine. I don't understand some
Mhm.
people who complain about it. It's like I
I think they're perfect.
yeah, like some people are like, oh, they take too long to do. Do they really though? Do they like?
No, I've already done the current one. I'm already at tier 85.
Yeah, I'm at like tier like 50, and I haven't even really been trying to like get through it.
I
Um,
don't buy them. I don't buy the premium track until I finish it because you buy the auric cells and then you complete the rift and then you get all your auric cells back. So I think they're designed well. I mean, you earn it all back if you finish it, and they're not that difficult to finish.
and yeah, and I know like FOMO is something that people complain about in this game sometimes, especially recently. Um, but
Mhm.
the Rift FOMO is kind of just wait a year. That's the
Yeah,
FOMO.
yeah,
They put
essentially.
all the skins that are in the Rift come to the game in a year or so. And you can buy
I
them
would
if
even say that they don't even need to do that because I mean, I feel like if you did play during that time period and you grinded for those cosmetics because you liked them, I mean, you kind of earned them at that point.
I think they got around that with the Deep Rift
Yeah,
that they've
that's
added
fair.
recently. I think that was their way around that, which I think is fine. I've heard some people complain about that too. It's like at some point, like because like in like Destiny and these other games that like do events like every year for like
Mhm.
Christmas and stuff. People are like, oh, you can only get these like you could only get this during like this year of Christmas. And it's like you can never
Right.
get it again. And people are like, well, I want it. Well, tough shit. Like, you weren't
I mean, like
there. I'm
Overwatch does
sorry.
it. Like you can, I mean, they have the Christmas skins from the past several years of Christmas
Yeah.
events, but you can still buy the I think I haven't played Overwatch in a minute, but I feel like I think you can still like buy the old ones for a discounted price if you missed out on pulling them out of well, they don't do loot boxes anymore, but like back when I played that was the thing. Like you would buy the loot boxes and then you'd pull the skins. Um and you could pull the ones from last year, or you could buy them at a discounted price with coins.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's a weird thing because at the same I understand both camps on it, but to me like I kind of wish more games would add stuff that was like actually exclusive that like no one else could ever get. Not so I can like flex my superiority, but it's just kind of like a nice feeling of being like I was there for this. Um
Yeah, have you ever heard of or played Hunt Showdown?
yes. Yes.
So I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, but there was a boss added called Scrapbeak, and they did like a whole event around it. And there was a skin that you would get if you finished like if you got all of the tokens, and the tokens were like notoriously difficult to get. Like you had to play I think for 2 hours a day, or you had to get so many like if you did the math, you had to get so many points a day before you could unlock the skin, and it was like ridiculously grindy.
Hmm.
But I sat there and I did it. I played for 2 hours every day, and I didn't even play the game. I just went around the map and I broke all the tokens. It was so boring. But the skin has not returned to the game since, and I flexed the shit out of that. It's the Plague Doctor skin
Hmm.
from Hunt Showdown. And I feel like I've had people message me like, "How did you get that?" Like I earned it.
Do you know how many people are so mad at me because I own the Pink Mercy skin, but I don't play Overwatch anymore?
That one too, that's a good example.
What I
I
keep
don't
it
have the Pink Mercy skin.
like I hear people say like bring it back. It's like don't bring it back. Not because like I want to flex, but because it's like I was there for this event. Like if they bring it back,
Yeah,
then I feel
you
like
lived it.
yeah, it's like they bring it back. It's like why the fuck? Like I don't know. Like Destiny does these things sometimes. Like I want to say like 6 or 8 months ago, there was this event called the Crafting. Now Destiny does this sometimes where it's not actually an event that happened like that was like pre-made. It was something that happened like with the community. Um,
Mhm.
and what they do, and I think this is kind of smart. So the crafting basically there's craftable weapons in the game. Um, and there was a glitch on the servers that let people craft like any weapon together they wanted. So like you could have like an assault rifle grenade launcher.
Hmm.
Um, and it was like this all weekend because they couldn't, people were the Bungie team was off, so they couldn't like fix it. Um, so what they did was for players who played during the time of that, they got like a special emblem.
Hmm.
Like it's just a small thing to be like, hey, you were here for this.
Just like on your player profile or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was
Okay.
one week, and like it's little. They do this for all kinds of things. Like when Destiny
Hmm.
2 first came out, there was a weekend where a character called Zur he brings weapons every week that you can buy, and one of the weapons was a trace rifle, which is like a it's like a laser beam, and because of how good it was at the time, everyone bought it and was using it. So that weekend was called Laser Tag Weekend. So
Wow.
like 2 months later, they were like, "All right," because everyone was making memes about it. The whole community was like behind it. Everyone was in on the joke and like how funny it was. They just made an emblem called the laser tag emblem for anyone who was playing during the time. Like
Oh
like,
wow.
and you can't ever get those again. And I
Yeah,
think I think
that's
that's
cool.
I think that's fine. But
I
some
think
people,
it's good to have a mix of things. Like some of these things, like you had to be there for them. They're very special. They're very unique, and the people that earned them worked hard for them, or they had that experience, you know. And
yeah,
I think it's fine to have like a mix of things. Like yeah, we might bring this back, but it might be a recolor.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like I feel like the Pink Mercy, like I that was for a good cause, so it makes sense like why it hasn't come back because they haven't done another drive, you know.
yeah,
But I feel like if they were to do something, like, they could probably do another drive for a different cause, but have, like, a different recolor.
yeah,
Something.
yeah. I think people talked about that before. They're like, they should just do another charity event and then don't bring
Yeah,
back Pink Mercy, but give us another pink skin for another character.
yeah, that would be cool.
Um,
I would
yeah.
rock a Pink Reaper.
uh,
That was my man.
don't you have a Reaper tattoo?
I do have a Reaper
Yeah,
tattoo. I also have a Dead by Daylight tattoo.
it's the Natophobia, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, I've seen it. You posted it in the Discord.
I did,
It
I
it
did.
looks very nice. I don't know if mine are posted in there. Um, yeah, because I've talked about. I have for how I look and how I sound. People don't expect it, but I have like 5 tattoos.
I want more, but they're too expensive.
Yeah, my half of my back is covered.
Oh,
Um,
see, I could never put any tattoos on my back because I can't see them. Like, I wanna be able to see them, so all of mine are on my arms.
it's the funny thing about my back one. I forget it's there sometimes. Like, I'll get out of the shower and like I'll look in the mirror like, what the fuck is that?
That's the whole thing, like, it's if it's on my arm, like, it's always in my peripheral, right? Like, I always know, like, "Oh, that's my art." Like, that's my stuff. That's my tattoos. But if I put it on my back, if people do what they want, like, it's your body, like, obviously,
mm,
but I could never do it just because I can't admire the art. Like, I appreciate the art of tattoos,
mm.
so I want it somewhere where I can see it.
Well, the back one was mostly because of necessity because of how big it was.
Mhm.
Because it was a very very large piece, so yeah, it had to go on my back. Unfortunately, it wouldn't have fit anywhere
Fair.
else. Um, Also, since you have tattoos, I have to ask the obligatory question. Um,
Uh-huh.
does it have a meaning behind it?
God God damn it.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, hang on.
3 of 3 yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say, listen, none of mine did when I got them. I have given them meaning since I got them. That's how I got around that.
3 of them do. 3 of my 4 tattoos do have meanings, and I could explain them. One of them does not. Um, so my video game related tattoos, like my thanatophobia tattoo, that is actually impactful because I used to play nurse. I used to be a nurse main, like, back before crossplay even existed.
Hmm.
And that was people would always talk about how rare it was to see a nurse on console. So I would have so many people like DMing me and asking me to like review their VODs and things. Like, can you teach me how to play nurse with? I actually have a guide on my YouTube from back in those days, um, where I was trying to teach people how to play console nurse.
Hmm.
Um, but I started streaming because people are like, "Hey, you're really good at this killer and nobody does it, so you should probably show people how to do it." I'm like, "Okay, I'll try streaming." And I did, and I actually like I picked it up really, really well. I had a nice little community, and I stopped. There was a few reasons I stopped. It was I was in college at the time, and I was working full time, and I was in a D&D campaign, so it was
Mhm.
just it was too much for me to keep up with. I think I had a full plate. Um, but that period of my life was, like, really important because that's the first time I'd ever really been, like, in a community like that.
Mhm.
Um, because I never really did online gaming too much before I got into Overwatch. Like, I've always been very into my single player RPGs,
That's
so
the
it felt
case.
special.
Yeah, that's the case for a lot of people. Overwatch was like, as much as people had to complain about that game, it was the
Mhm.
catalyst for a lot of people to get into online gaming.
Yeah. No, that was my first, like that was my first big, like, PvP game was
Mhm.
Overwatch. I made a lot of I made a lot of lifelong friends in that game,
Mhm.
and it pulled me out of, like, a very, like, dark period. So I'm thankful. But, I mean, it kind of, like it kind of led me into finding DBD, because the people that I ran with in Overwatch, we were, like, 2 years into our Overwatch game play, and one of them was like, "Hey, you like spooky stuff. You like goth aesthetic." So, um, they're like, "Look at this game." And so I looked at it and it was Dead by Daylight. I'm like, "This looks really fun." And we literally bought the game just purely with the intention of playing. At the time, they called it Kill Your Friends.
Mhm.
It's just called Custom Game now. But we bought it with the sole intention of just playing, like, against each other. Like, we did not care about the the online aspect of it.
I got you.
But, I was the first person to buy it and download it, and I started trying it, and I don't know, the game just I fell in love with the game, like, very quickly,
Mhm.
and, those friends have, like, drifted away from the game, and I've been the only person to really stick with it. But
That's
yeah, the
yeah.
nurse tattoo, that's kind of the whole, like, very long story behind that is it was like it felt like a very special part of my life, um, and then the Reaper tattoo as well, it was kinda like I said, Overwatch kinda pulled me out of a dark period, so that tattoo means a lot to me as well.
Yeah. Let's see. My Glaceon tattoo, which is a Pokemon,
Mhm,
um, that represents my cousin who died of cancer.
mhm,
My Zero Suit Samus represents my ex-wife. Uh, my Morgana represents it I once again it didn't really have a representation. I just got it because I played League so much back in the day. But
mhm,
it's just supposed that was supposed to represent now it's more so just like the old angry me all the time. I don't sound it,
mhm.
but believe me, when I was younger, I had a lot of anger issues. Um,
You sound very chipper.
some would argue that. um, I've grown a lot. I mean, I'm almost. I've never been shy about my age. I'm almost 30, so like I just don't have time to be mad anymore. It never really.
Wait, I always hear you call yourself old. How old are you? Like,
I'm 29 years old. I will be 30 in 3 months.
that's not old. I'm 28.
Tell that to people online.
That's okay, like, the video game space is different because we get dumpstered by, like, 12-year-olds all day, right? But, like you go play Apex and you're getting, like, shit talked by 9-year-olds because they can aim better than you. But like, this you're not old until you're 50, like, in my opinion. So, like, 30 is not old.
Yeah, fair
You're still
enough.
in your prime.
Yeah. But
Just this video game space is different, but no.
yeah, I'd say the internet space is different, not just video games. I get called old on Twitter. Like, um, yeah, but yeah, and then what other? Oh, my Sam Fisher one. That's supposed to represent my time in the army. Um,
Mhm,
technically, all of them are supposed to. I got one for each year I was in. That was the idea. Um, but yeah, that's really all it represents. And then the other one of my brother took his life last year. That one's not even special.
mhm,
It's just his name. So
mm.
um, but yeah, yeah, having a lot of tattoos though. Anyone who's had a tattoo knows the common. What does it mean?
Literally, one of my tattoos, the most recent one that I have, I literally just got it in one of those like Friday the 13th flash sales because I thought it's a little like ghost cat, and I
Hmm.
just thought it was cute. So I'm like, you know what? I'll pay $25 for that. Sure.
So the a friend of mine, she doesn't really stream anymore, but when she used to stream, she made a bet with her chat, uh, to get tattoos of L and R on her hand. Um, she now has those tattoos on her hand, so for the rest of her life,
Oh my
people
gosh.
have to ask her why she has L and R written on her hand. It's because she gets left and right confused. By the way, that's why. Uh,
That's funny.
yeah, good times. Um, so back to
Streamers are like so extra. I love it.
yeah. So back to the topic of Larry.
Yes,
I
that
don't know.
was quite the tangent.
Yeah, I don't know. We were talking about power levels, by the way.
And somehow ended up on tattoos.
Um, do you have any tips for new Larrys? And you've watched these before. When I say new, I don't mean someone just booted up the game. It's like I like scary cyborg man. Um,
That's valid though.
yeah, it
I
is.
mean,
It is. But when I say new, I mean like they've been playing the game a little bit. They're like, oh, this character looks cool, and they just try him out.
um, my biggest tip would be uh, a lot of people seem to struggle with EMPs. Like when they're picking them up, they think that they're very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the best thing you can do is to just throw a cam up where you stand and just make them waste it. Like slipstream them because more often than not, the survivor is going to cleanse it like immediately and not save it for like an impactful time. They're just going to want to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So making them waste EMPs is probably one of your most valuable tools, and you can do that very easily just in chase. Just slipstream everybody at all times. Like keep everybody slipstreamed as much as you possibly can, because that's where a lot of your pressure is going to come from. Um, that's just a good like practice to have is just if you see somebody that's healthy, just goop them. Like it's not going to cost you anything to just throw up a cam, goop them, and then go back to whatever you're doing.
Right.
Um, learning crate spawns I think is super important as well, especially as you get more into it. Um, a lot of maps have super consistent spawns. Like they'll be guaranteed places almost every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are super useful because you'll know, and you'll have an idea first off where to go find somebody if you're not running like Lethal Pursuer, and two, if they're gooped and you see them run away, you kind of have an idea of where they're going to end up if you know where the crates are.
Right.
Um, Also, this is a really simple one. Just if you get a hook, just throw a cam up by the hook. Like you'd be shocked at how many people just heal under the hook even though you have a pod right there.
Mm-hmm.
I see it all the time. And it's so easy because then let's say you have somebody on the ground, you check the cam because somebody got unhooked and then they're healing. Well, now you have two people slipstreamed. Now you can teleport. You can go down the I don't want to say tunnel, but you can down the engine. The person
I'm assuming I don't. You don't have a guide up or anything, do you?
I do not.
Okay. Coco Latte is a very,
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very good Singularity player.
Yes.
He has a lot of great videos on how to play him and a lot of good guides. I have watched them myself. Um, I'll link him below under Phoenix's stuff, but go check him out. He actually just started doing comp recently. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm sure he's learned a lot from doing that, and I'm sure he'll make some videos about that as well. But yeah, great content, great Singularity content creator. I can't
The
break.
best that I know of. I mean, I learned everything I learned everything I know from watching him and watching his guides and going into his streams and asking him questions.
Yeah,
Um, Super good guy, super chill guy as well. But very good at Singularity.
yeah, and kind of a side tangent with this, with what you just said, because you said you watched his guides and asked him questions and things. I think some people
Mhm.
are too prideful. I don't think prideful is the right word. I think a lot of people try to figure certain killers out on their own too much.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not afraid. Like well, Chucky's not the most complicated character in the world, but I watch other people's videos on him. I watch guides on him. Um, I don't know everything, every single tile, and how everything works.
right.
Sometimes it's just nice to hear it from somebody else. Uh,
Well, especially if you're just learning, like, you're not gonna you're gonna be lost. You're not gonna know what to do with your power or how to
Hmm.
use it, in the best way. I don't think there's any shame in studying what somebody else that's better at the killer does, and then I don't wanna say trying to recreate it, but trying to figure out why it works, and then
Right.
applying that to your own gameplay.
Yeah, and that's another big thing is your own game. Like if you watch anyone do a guide on Chucky, and this is why I'm actually kind of excited for mine. They'll talk about Scamper a lot and Slice and Dice a
Mhm,
lot. The things I talk about, because I've said this before, my favorite things with Chucky is the third person camera.
mhm. The
And
Chuck spots.
the Chuck spots trademarked. I'm getting that on a fucking t-shirt, I swear. Um, but yeah, it's there's different play styles for a lot of these killers, and it's like if you watch only one content creator talk about them, you're gonna get into a habit of like trying to play how they do. When if you just think about it a little bit on your own, you can probably find your own play style. I know some killers aren't really like that. Like there's not really too many different ways to play Huntress, for example,
Yeah.
uh, or like Trickster, or wow, it's a lot of the range killers, isn't it?
Mhm.
But I mean,
Some of them are kinda just shoehorned into doing one thing and doing it really well.
yeah, there's a
There's not a whole lot of, like, wiggle room.
yeah, there's an old. Do you know who Shammy is?
Shammy, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's a YouTuber who did he did like an hour long video comparing Overwatch and Paladins. Um
Mm,
and
mhm.
one of the things he said in there was in Overwatch, I'm not playing Zarya, or I'm not playing Zarya. Or what is it? I'm not playing Zarya, I'm playing as Zarya, if that makes any sense. Like
Right.
there's no like in Overwatch is a whole different beast, but a lot of the characters are so like kind of shoehorned into what they do. There's not really room for like expression. Not to say
Yeah.
that it doesn't exist at all. But yeah, and that's just how that game's designed. It's designed like that on purpose. Because it makes it easier for newer players to learn them, and it makes team compositions easier to both make and play against.
Mhm.
Because like I mean, like Junkrat isn't exactly sniping the enemy team most of the time. So it's like
Right.
it's like you don't have to be like, oh, do I have a sniping Junkrat on my team, or do I got a
What do you
balls to the
mean? That's the
wall?
best ferret counter. Junkrat.
But yeah, that's my point. In Dead by Daylight, some of the killers are like that, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are really, and usually it's the killers I gravitate towards is the ones that are more malleable. Larry, Chucky, um,
Yeah,
Clown, mostly M1 killers, but even Nemesis to agree is actually pretty malleable with how you can build him
yeah.
and what you can do. Um,
I mean, I kinda went into it earlier, but with Singularity specifically, it's like I was saying, he's very versatile, right? Like, you can play him in a really aggressive play style, you can play him more passively, you can do, like, weird, goofy shit on him, like Totem Protector Larry, there's so much you can do, and it can all be kind of effective. Like, at the end of the day, he's just an M1 killer, but the way that his kit works is, like, he's got a lot of versatility.
yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. There's no shame in looking up guides. Uh, and I don't mean, like I said, don't follow the guys to a T. You try to figure it out on your own at the same time. Like there's a happy middle ground with that. Um,
So they're there to enhance your own gameplay, you're not supposed to, like, copy paste exactly what you see.
yeah, and builds are a little different because meta exists for a reason.
Mhm,
That doesn't mean you can't deviate and try to find success with it though. Like I said, that clown build with Aranad doesn't have a single slowdown in it, and I won a lot of my matches
mhm.
using that build. Even against like full like gen speed god survivors, right?
Yeah.
Um, does that mean it's good? Objectively, no, it doesn't. But I still had fun with it, so it's really all that
Yeah.
matters.
That's the important part is the fun. No, even my build, like, it's very inspired by Coco's, his build that he's doing. He went on a 215 game win streak with Singularity,
Hmm.
and he had a very specific build that he used for it. And I kind of took from that, but I kinda changed it. And because it's like I've tried the build and it's it's effective, like, for what it does, but it doesn't fit me because I'm not playing him in that hyper aggressive play style, right? Like, I'm not going for a win streak. I'm kinda just playing just to chill. I really wanna have fun chases, and I wanna do fun mind games. That's why I play Singularity,
Mm,
'cause it's funny to fake a camera teleport and then watch somebody vault back over a pallet because they got scared. Like, that it makes my day.
yeah.
Um but I mean, like I take, rapid and jolt. And jolt is good not just for the small bit of gen regression, but it's a good tracking perk. So a gen
Yeah.
blows up, you throw a cam up, you get another slipstream. It works for me, and I'm not copying exactly what I saw a streamer do. I'm inspired by it, and I think that that's fine.
Yeah. And like we talked about my singularity build that I run sometimes.
Yes.
It shut up. It's once again, it's like it's different from every other singularity build, and that's just how I enjoy playing the killer. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it works for me. Like, I'm not saying it's like the best build or anything. It's just like it works for me.
No, like I've tried it and I get the appeal. Like it's fun and it's funny.
It's just yeah.
I ran a dumbass build the other day with plant fibers, which is the purple add-on where it reduces the hinder when you break a pallet with the TP.
Mm,
And I was like, I don't think it's like a great add-on, but it feels good to use. Like it definitely does feel good to use. I see the appeal.
mm-hmm.
Um, so I threw that on, and then I was running Endo Fury with like Hex 2 can play and Hubris, and he doesn't need those things because he can just teleport over pallets, but it's still fun to try and get value out of it. So because people don't expect it.
I had a Freddy last night. No, it was a couple nights ago. He was running Hex 2 can play. Um, and it freaked the shit out of me. Like I legitimately didn't know what was going on for a second. Like, but he got value
like
out of his perk. Like,
killers that don't need it, it's always terrifying because they're like trying to force value out of it, so it makes them play in very like funky ways.
mm-hmm,
But I love shit like that. I think it's so much fun just trying to take like a niche perk and then trying to make a build around it or making it work at least once, because if that person gets blinded because they stunned me when I was not in overclock and then they ran into a wall, like done. Like I have won. I've won the game. You can 4 out me now.
um, yeah, I'm gonna do a video. It's on my list of topics. Because a lot of people complain about, oh, I have to run the meta and all that. We kind of alluded to it a little bit ago, but
Mhm.
listen, if you're tired of seeing the meta, and I'm not even going to say anything about MMR or SBMM or matchmaking in general, but if you are really, really tired of seeing the meta, stop running the meta then. Oh, but then I'll lose. Be the change you want to see in the
And
world.
mhm.
That's all I'm going to say. Be the change you want to see in the world. Like it's like people are like, I'm so tired of toxic survivors, and then turns out they're toxic sometimes, and it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I'm not going to sit here and call you a hypocrite or anything, but it's like if you don't like people being toxic in this game, then don't be toxic. That's the only thing you can do about it, really. I don't like killers camping and tunneling. Okay, go play killer and don't camp and tunnel. Be that one killer that doesn't do
Mhm.
that. You know what I mean? Like, um,
Yeah. That's a good example for me because I don't I mean, like, I'm not gonna sit here and judge people in a video game because I don't know them as people. I just know how they're acting towards me in a video game. Like
mm-hmm,
the people that play really hard, like they're playing like their life depends on it. Like it's a tournament. Like there's money on the line.
mm-hmm,
And I don't get it because it's like, we're trying to chill. We're trying to have fun. We're just trying to play a video game. I come home from work and I want to do my silly little Larry things. I don't want to try hard. So
right.
I simply don't. I don't care about winning.
I was,
Um and I feel like a lot of people have a mentality where they feel like they have to 4K, they have to win. And it bothers me because if I'm trying to play Survivor and I'm just running like a head-on squad with my friends, it's like, we're not trying to win, we're just trying to goof around. And the killer is like sweating for their 4K. Like I don't want to be like that. I want to be chill.
mm-hmm,
So I bring that energy into my killer games. It's like I don't wanna sweat. I don't wanna camp tunnel slug and play it like it's a comp game. I just wanna chill and I wanna do my fun little things.
yeah, and I mean, you've been to my streams
Mm,
before, and you've seen the because I trust the videos coming out once they're all done. But I'm doing the 50 games with the best stuff on Chucky right now, and
Hmm.
even doing that, like I'm sure I'm trying, quote unquote, to win, but like I'm not camping, I'm not tunneling, I'm not like super concerned about like doing the most optimal thing at every single moment.
Not absolutely sweating.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
nothing against those people. I forgot what video I was watching the other day, and people in the comments were like, "Tryharding is one of the dumbest insults ever created."
Hmm.
It's like, how dare you try? Like, what? Like, my problem with it has always been like, people are like, "Oh, people, there's so many tryhards," and it's like,
Yeah.
what are they supposed to do? Just not do anything? Like, I don't know.
Well, some people are just naturally competitive too. Like they could be the nicest person ever, like in
Mm-hmm.
real life, and then they're just so competitive in video games. Like there is a streamer, and I don't know if I don't want to name names
And
because a lot of people don't like him, but
I
I
think I
like
know
him.
I think I know who it is.
Plays in a very like quote unquote unfun way, especially with our particular favorite little Onryo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, plays very, very hard on killer, does win streaks, slugs, tunnels, camps, does what he needs to do to win because I that's just how he is in nature.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. Like if you go to his streams, like he's super chill, he's super nice, he's super sweet. And it's like you really can't judge somebody's personality based off of how they act in a video game, even if they just want to win. Like if that's how they have their fun, like that's not for me to decide. It's just I don't like it. I don't like feeling like I have to stress out when I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to relax. So that's what works for me, I just try not to care about my win or my 4King at 5 gens, it's not for me, but it's for some people and that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it's like, because I'm not gonna name who it is. But it's like what do people want him to do? That's always been
Yeah.
my question with it. Do they like? I get it. Some people can turn it off, kind of, but like, is he supposed to just make bad plays on purpose? Like that's
No.
all.
I mean,
That's always been my question to it. It's like people are like, "Oh, this killer was like tryharding so bad." It's like, how is that even an insult? What do you want him to do?
yeah.
Just give up and let you guys win? Like, I don't get
No,
it.
I
I never
it's like
will.
there's no winning. There's no winning with a lot of those people, and I don't really get it because I feel like I don't think it's unique to the Dead by Daylight community, but it feels very prominent in the Dead by Daylight community.
Well, a problem with the Dead by Daylight community isn't even necessarily the community. It's just how the game's set up. Um, I've talked about before why tunneling often feels bad.
Mhm.
It's a 4v1. So even if your team gets out and you die, you still lost, even though your team
Yeah.
won. And the killer also lost, even though
Mhm.
he killed you. So both of you feel bad.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just inherent to the design of how the game is. Um,
And then you have, like, the other level of that where the killer tunnels so they can force other survivors to, like, try and help to force altruism, and then again, that's kinda playing into the 4v1, right? Like,
yeah,
it's just another level of it.
yeah. Like I said, it's just its inherent design. There's really no getting around it. There's not really much they can do to change that.
Yeah.
Um, I've talked about before about consolation prizes or like having the blood points be a pool instead of individual. Um,
Mhm.
but then there's the whole thing, and I know I said it when talk about MMR. If there's one thing I don't like about MMR, because I've made my opinions on MMR very clear, um, I don't like that it's individually based.
Yeah.
I 100% agree because Hens did a video on it recently. I 100% agree it should be team based. Um,
I thought they changed it to be more, like, team-based, team averaged, like, somewhat recently.
well, it
I'm just
is.
imagining things.
It is. It is. It's how much you win or how much you gain or lose. But if you get out, you still gain, and if you die, you still lose. It's just how much
Yeah.
based on how well your team did. Um, so even if you get tunneled, and your team still did a quote a good job, you'll still lose MMR, just not as much as you would have.
Yeah.
But that also comes into the problem. Well, if you're losing a bunch because of that, well, now you're not going down in MMR enough to start getting
Yeah,
those.
there's also the soft cap where,
Yeah,
like, once you get to a certain point, you can't go down.
yeah.
And I feel like that because they just recently raised that, and I know that that was, like, a big topic of conversation because people who were already at the soft cap or they were above it, they now realize that their games are feeling harder and it's more frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like I was also impacted by that, but I just don't care as much about about my results.
I
Um, but I definitely noticed it, like, I felt like the games were like, survivors were way more efficient. They were playing chases better, they were counterplaying my killer better than the other people were, before the change.
right.
But I feel
Um,
like people get it feels like a trap almost, like, you play well, and then you start learning how to play well, and then you get to that soft cap, and then you're, like, above your head, like, you're facing teams that are way better than you're supposed to be, like, I get matched with, like, actual, like, DBD League, like, competitive players, and I'm like, "I'm not that caliber. I don't wanna be here anymore."
I think the thing that I've always said with MMR on its own and SBMM isn't bad. It's actually very good. Most people agree it is.
On
Where
paper, yeah, it sounds good.
where it has its issues is how it's implemented.
Mhm.
Um, and DBD I just don't think has a very good implementation of it. Once again, I'm very apathetic on it personally because I really don't care that much. But I understand the frustration and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like why wouldn't you play against people at this? And I'm going to use the term same. Obviously, it's very hard to determine sometimes. Why wouldn't you play people at the same caliber as you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like people
Well, I
like
guess it's like if the game is telling me that, "Hey, you're good enough to play against these competitive players," I'm like, "I don't feel like I'm good enough to play against these competitive players." If I'm running my silly, no perks, no add-ons builds, like, I'm gonna get dumpstered.
yeah. What
I
what it?
don't like, it's another thing, like, where I feel like I don't belong up there, but the game thinks I do, so then it
Mhm.
leads to, like, well, I'm gonna get my world rocked.
Um, have you heard my thoughts on like if they just shadow added it? Like
That they shadow added it?
so MMR, they made a whole big deal. They made a whole dev post. They were like telling people this is coming and like explaining like
Yeah.
partially how it worked. Do you think people would be as mad at MMR if they didn't even know it existed?
I mean, I would argue that they kind of would because they noticed when the soft cap was raised before they had even made an announcement because there were a lot of people talking about how their games mysteriously felt more stressful and harder. And they're like, did they do something? I feel like people noticed that shift. Like, even if I don't know, I feel like it's something that they would probably pick up on
Well, okay. Let's
because
say
it was such a mixed bag before MMR.
right, but here's my thing though. Let's say the old grade system was still a thing,
Hmm.
and they also added MMR. Right, the grade
Right.
systems didn't affect your matchmaking. It was a hidden number behind the scenes with the MMR, and they never told anyone MMR was a thing.
Hmm.
Do you think people would still be
Mm.
mad at the matchmaking? Because people say the grade system was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it it was and it wasn't. I didn't mind the grade system because you earned it, but at the same time, it wasn't indicative of skill. It was just how much time you put into the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like, it still mattered in a way because the people that got up there faster were probably better at the game. Like you'd have people on, you'd have people that would get to rank one like day one.
Hmm.
Like those people were playing out of their minds. So it did matter, but it also didn't matter because it got to a point where everybody was going to get there anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Once again, I think it just comes down to the implementation. I also think if we could see it, that's
Yeah.
that's my biggest criticism is not being able to see it because I don't even
Mhm.
know if I'm at high MMR.
Yeah. No.
I like to assume I am because of how much I win, but like I
I
I
can only guess based off of the kind of players that I go against.
but even that's not accurate because the matchmaking could just be messed up.
That's true.
That's the other thing is I play 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Or I'm sorry,
Mhm.
11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Like I'm playing in like DJ hours where there's not that many people on.
So your matchmaking is probably
Yeah,
wonky.
yeah. So it's like, how am I even supposed to know? Because sometimes I'll get like brand new players,
Mhm.
and it's like once again, I like to think I'm high MMR, but it's like if I'm getting brand new players, how high MMR can I really be? Or are these really the only people they can match me with right now?
Right.
Or am I just that bad? You know what I mean? Like it's.
I think it comes down to like the amount of people playing in your region at that time because
Mhm.
those are very like obscure hours. Like there's not going to be a lot of people on during that time unless they're like you'll get like the super sweats who are grinding in the ungodly hours of the night, and then you'll have like new players.
I found 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. is when the sweatiest people come out. That is when I
I
get.
usually play like between 6 p.m. to like 10 p.m. So like prime like people are coming home from work, winding down,
Mhm.
and on weekends. So there's also like the children aspect of that.
There's a reason.
Um,
There's a reason I stopped streaming on weekends.
they're just but I feel like those are like the prime times when I play. So I feel like I guess I would say that my MMR is a little bit more accurate just because there's a bigger player pool when I'm playing. You
Mhm.
know. Versus like I have stayed up until like 3, 4 a.m. on rare occasions and I'll play killer and I just get like the sweatiest people known to man. I'm like, where were you people at like 8 o'clock p.m.?
But yeah, but like you know, like that brings us to the question of like, you know, if we can't see it and you know none of us really like know what it is, because the reason they did that was because they didn't want it to breed toxicity based on like
Right.
superiority, which I think is dumb in my opinion.
Prestige does that unfortunately too.
Yeah, Prestige does that, and what's it called? Like people just do that inherently. But
Yeah.
my biggest problem is, you know, I'll have people come in and be like, "Oh, look at these survivors you're playing against. Like you're just bad at the killer, so you're in low MMR." Like I have no way to dispute it.
Mhm.
Like I really don't. Even if the next match I go up against like a god squad, it doesn't matter because I'll be like, well, that was the exception. It- so which is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's very inconsistent because like one game you could have like the super sweats and then the next game you've got four people who are doing like silly tome challenges. Like
Yeah,
even though they might be a high MMR, their internal number is still high. They're still doing a white glyph. Like
yeah. I had to do one of those the other day. Fuck the white glyph. All right. Um, I got a very nice ghost face who let me do it, so I can't be too mad. Um,
I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker. If I see somebody doing a glyph, I'll sit there and I'll watch them. Like
or the
especially if they're
fucking
doing the they're doing the yellow glyphs. Like I'll sit there for like emotional support.
what's it called? The Deathslinger archive that just came out, the one that
Uh
everyone
huh.
was complaining about. Um, where
Oh, was it the Deathslinger one where you had to like shoot people while they're
all
doing a gen or something?
while they're
Because
doing a gen, yes,
I struggled with that one.
two people in one match. I got it on. I got it in 2 games.
Jeez,
Well, I tell
I don't play
people.
Deathslinger, so
Well,
I farmed for it.
no, 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 no. I tell people how I got this archive. All right, I need to. I want. I should probably make a video about it, honestly, because it's hilarious. I have a. I used to do DBD fishing streams. I still do sometimes.
Mm,
And what I did was I used to play Deathslinger. This is before Xenomorph came out because Xenomorph became the fishing character for me. Um, but what I would do is I would bring totems. I would bring Insidious, and his eerie add-on that exposes them, and I
mhm.
would just sit there and wait the entire match. Sometimes
Have
I
you ever done
wouldn't.
fishing
Sometimes I wouldn't
streams?
see a single person. Um, so what I did for this challenge was I took that build and I just sat by a gen.
Oh my god.
And I got some really nice Davids that just gave it to me.
That's great. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Did I get it out of pity? Probably. Do I care? Nope.
I got so many jump scares from people trying to do that challenge when I was playing Survivor
um,
because they would bring like an RPD offering and I would be doing the gen like in the bottom level of like the main hallway
mhm.
and they would just sit up at the top railing and they would shoot me and it would scare the shit out of me every time.
I I also have a rule, especially while I'm streaming. If I see someone with no mither, they get out. I don't care. I don't
That's
care.
very generous.
I don't care if it's for if I'm doing it because if I'm doing like a win streak or if I'm doing like whatever. If I see one no mither in my game, that game if it's like a win streak or something, which I don't do very often, but if I do, that game is null and void. I don't care. That person gets out.
You're nicer than I am. I've been traumatized by way too many like no mither boil over squads,
So
sabo squads. Like,
the reason I do it is because there's an archive challenge from years ago
oh.
for David where you have to escape running only
Mm.
no mither. And almost every time I do this, I get a message at the end of the match. Thank you, I got my archive done.
Oh wow.
Almost every single time I do it. Now, if all four of them are running no mither, yeah, I'm probably still going to play that game out. But if one of them is, I can promise you it's probably that person doing that archive challenge. Um, why else would you?
People messaging you, thanking you for letting them do something is like the best feeling in Dead by Daylight, and I will not take that's a fact. I'm not going to take any arguments
Yeah, I mean
because
it's
I've made so many friends. Like I had a Cheryl that she needed. I think it was a. I think it was just like an achievement. She had to escape through the hatch, and I just kind of let her do it because she let her teammate die on hook so she could get she could get the hatch.
oh, I probably would have
And
killed
then
her.
she 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 was like pointing at it like she wanted me to close it. So I'm like, okay. I kind of stomped their team with Pyramid Head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, okay, I'll close it. And then I closed it, and then she had her little key, and then she left through the hatch with her key, and then she messaged me on PlayStation, and she's like, that was the last trophy I needed for my platinum. Thank you. I was like, I made some of my best friends ever with like friendly survivors. Like again, getting absolutely like stomped, like curb stomped. And
I
then they walk up to me and they drop their med kits on the ground. It's I fold. I can't. It's like you're so cute.
I there was a game I can remember this very distinctly. There was a game on I was playing on Eerie of Crows, and it was two Leons, a Michaela, and a Claudette. Um, the Michaela I found I was playing Myers. I hooked her on like the other side of the map, and I'm me, so I was like, okay, I'm not going to camp this. I'll go to the other side of the map.
Mm.
She hit second stage, so I walked back over to see what was going on. There, the two Leons were just sitting in the other corner of the map, and the Claudette had to
Oh
come over
what?
and get her. So I was like, I just like shook my head, like, yeah, go ahead and get her. Let her get her. The Leons finally come out of hiding. Oh my god, no, no mercy, no fucking mercy for
Oh my
those two
god.
Leons. I was like, no, no, bitches, if you're gonna do this to your team, no, y'all don't deserve this. And so I let the Claudette and the Michaela go, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I always feel bad when I see people like visibly getting sandbagged by their teammates because they did something to piss them off. Like you go. I'll get them. I got this.
uh, I think the only time it makes me mad is when I'm trying to do something like that, and they won't let me, and I'm like, why? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I had a pyramid game once where some guy was sandbagging like two members of the team. No, I was playing Wraith, and two guys were like sandbagging. One guy was like sandbagging his whole team, and this is before anti camp. I finally got him in game, and I put him on a hook, and I camped him. Two survivors walk over and were like nodding their head at me and like teabagging him and whatever. And then the last one comes over and gets him off hook, and he gets out.
Oh my god.
And all three of us were so mad at him.
Dude. Dude, my favorite is when the survivors know that there's a hacker on their team and then they go like they can't really do anything because it's a hacker,
Uh
but
huh.
they still try to like sandbag them because they're hacking. Like it's my favorite. It's so funny.
I got a hacker. Um, I put that clip up last night of someone I thought was hacking. I'm still not sure if that
I was
was
here for that. I saw that live.
like I don't still don't know if they were hacking or if it was
The
just
Kate, right,
lag.
on
Yeah, 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 yeah.
RPD. Yeah.
She
I
literally
witnessed that with my own two eyeballs.
she literally popped out of existence on the vault. I watched that shit frame by frame.
She
Um,
put on her god mode.
um, but yeah, but the only other times I can remember, I had one blatant hacker
Yeah.
on Larry's once. And I felt bad for the team because I kept trying to slug them to in or trying to hook them to just end the game as fast as possible. The hacker had the
Mhm.
hack where they can get them off my shoulder.
Oh,
Not the
yeah.
hacker themselves, their teammates.
The teammates, yeah.
So they couldn't do gens because the hacker also apparently had a way to block the gens.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah,
That's weird,
yeah. So they couldn't do gens. I couldn't kill them. So we were all just stuck there.
dude.
Um, yeah, it was insane. Like yeah. The only other hacker I've had, and we still don't know if they were hacking, but we're like we don't know who it was, but we're pretty confident who it was. During Lights Out, I was playing Skull
Mhm.
Merchant because I was like, oh, she has tracking. This will be fun. Um, I was on Ormond, and every time I picked somebody up, they instantly got off my shoulder.
Oh, wow.
But let me rephrase that. It wasn't instant. It took like 5 seconds. I think that was their way of trying
Mhm.
to hide it. But I still don't know who it is. I'm pretty sure it was the Michaela on anonymous mode, but somehow I killed her. So I still don't know. Either they were very bad or they were using hacks
Yeah.
just to use them. I don't know. Um,
Hackers are so weird sometimes where they'll start out like normal gameplay and then they'll be really subtle about it. Like they'll like there was one time I was playing Larry on Garden of Joy and I had a Jill that I was chasing. I found her at the start of the game and we were running Shack and I was running my chase build so I had like Stoma, Rapid, yada yada. And she was just making so much distance on me. Like I would turn the Shack corner and she was already at the pallet and I'm like, am I pathing wrong? Is she just really good at like does she just have like god tier pathing? Like I feel like I'm not catching up to her. And I had rapid, so I wasn't getting bloodlust either. So it was like okay, well maybe I'm just playing bad. So I started trying to use my cams, and it felt like she would always make the line of sight breaker like just in time. And I was like, that's really weird. I think she might be hacking, but I'm not. I could just be bad. I don't know. And then I kept chasing her because then I was curious and we ran to main building and she got into the locker and I was like, oh, she's got head on. And she did. She had head on. She stun locked me there for 5 minutes because she was indeed hacking.
oh my god. I don't.
But it's like they start so subtle and then they just like they just turn it off randomly. Like, no, I'm gonna reveal myself like a superhero villain. Like like you thought you were gaslighting yourself into thinking that you were bad at the game, but no.
I will never understand the appeal. I just don't. Like,
Sometimes it's funny, but I mean, I don't condone it. I think it's bad and I think it's awful, and I wish it would be removed, of course. But sometimes it is funny to watch them fly around.
yeah,
I'm
okay.
above
Well,
saying
yeah,
that.
but I mean, I'm talking about the ones who like legitimately use it to just like win the game or like
Yeah, because it brings with the question, like, how often are you actually encountering like subtle hackers in your
yeah,
games?
yeah. Um, and some perks have made it a lot more difficult. Like, I thought I was playing on Asylum once, and I was using my cigar box clown build, and I was at Shack and I was watching this Ada because I could see her aura, and it's like she
Hmm.
knows exactly which direction I'm moving every single time, like hiding my red stain, making sure I am where I am, like doing what I normally do to everybody else, and nothing was working. So like I was like,
Hmm.
does she have wall hacks? At the end of the match, no, she didn't have wall hacks. She had wiretap.
Mm. Yeah.
So and then like with the speed stuff, it's like made for this, made that like the small speed hacks
Yeah.
harder to find,
Hmm.
and it's like
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a really big one.
um, yeah, it's just interesting because that's another thing because sometimes it really is just a perk you just don't think about. Um, you know,
I think that scares me more than anything because it's like the blatant ones, it's like, yeah, they're funny, but they get banned like a day later. It's the ones who go like undetected because they might be running a perk. They might have botany on, but they're healing just a little bit too fast.
yeah, and then there's like
Those are the ones that terrify me.
the ones that the people who terrify me are the ones who think I'm hacking when I'm playing Legion. Um, how did you find me in the locker? Are you serious right now?
Dude, Legion has been out since 2018,
This is
right?
why,
2018?
yeah, this is why I tell people all the time. It's like, dude, I cannot take some people seriously because there are still people who play this game for hours, like thousands of hours, and still don't know that Legion gets killer instinct, and that it works in lockers. Um,
Yeah, it's bad for a killer who's been out for Legion's not like an unpopular killer either. Like there's a lot of Legion mains out there.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um
Same
I
with
mean, you see them like if you play like 10 survivor games, like just there's a very good chance you will see at least one Legion. They're very popular, they're very easy to play, they're common.
mhm.
Um but yeah, like I don't know how people don't understand how the killer instinct works unless you just simply have never touched killer in your life,
Or same
in which
thing.
is you should.
Same thing with like artist. I've had people like,
Mhm.
and Karin said she's gotten it before too, where it's like, um, they'll get accused of hacking. It's like, no, the bird went by the locker, and I got the killer instinct.
Yeah.
Like, how did you know I was there? I have barbecue. I have cigar box. What does cigar box do? Read it. It's right there. Uh,
Yeah.
like,
Even with just relating a little bit to Singularity, like the overclock, like the pallet break, like the
mm-hmm,
the built-in Spirit Fury. I mean Larry's not common, so it's a little bit more forgiving than like, oh, I didn't know Legion got Killer Instinct. But like I've had so many people question how I broke the pallet when I didn't have Spirit Fury.
mm,
And I'm like, it's part of it's his power, it's his base kit. And they're like, no, that's a perk. Like, no, it's not.
what
It's part of my power.
what happens if you do run Spirit Fury?
Um,
Do you still get hindered?
well, I mean, you will because it doesn't count as a stun.
Oh,
Because if you break a pallet with overclock, you're not getting stunned.
oh,
So like it won't proc hubris unless you actually like force the stun out of overclock.
oh,
But it will if you break them with overclock, it does count towards Spirit Fury. Like it'll still give you like the
yeah,
the
yeah.
the, the tokens or whatever towards it.
So it doesn't count for two can play either, does it?
No, you
Huh.
have to actually get stunned or blinded for that
I
for it to
wonder.
activate.
I kind of no, and then hubris would just become really good on him, I guess. I was gonna say, I wonder if they just made it so it did count as a stun, but yeah, whatever. But it didn't
It pains
actually.
me when I see people running enduring because they're like, it makes it shorter. Like, no, it doesn't.
um. So on Larry though, so lore wise,
Hmm.
I've watched Pixel's videos on it. I have read it myself. And I
I have
know
too.
I know a lot of people are not the biggest fan of his lore. Um.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on it overall?
I mean, I've seen the videos on it. I think they're good videos. I enjoy watching them. I read the lore myself as well to kind of come to my own conclusions. Um, and I mean, I'm not gonna argue with the man that has a degree in literature. His opinion is he's got more on me on it. Fair enough. Um, but just in my opinion, I personally I like his lore. I mean, just from like an aesthetic point of view, like he's the first kind of robotic character we've gotten
Mhm.
in Dead by Daylight, and he's one of the few creatures that we have, so I think that makes him unique. And from a lore perspective, I mean, the idea of like a rogue AI, it's been done before, like many, many, many times.
Yeah.
Um, but I like the way that they told it, and I feel like people might have misinterpreted the tome because I feel like I read into it in a way that a lot of people didn't. Because people were like, "Oh, he just hates humans. He has no motivation." But I feel like he did have a motivation for going haywire and for wanting to kill people and not liking humans. And again, this is just my theory. It has no like real foundation behind it.
Mhm.
But I feel like he was very much like motivated by fear when he went rogue. Um, because there was a point in the tome where it explained like when he touched the alien crystal where he had like he was feeling like emotions for the first time, like existential dread.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's also the scene at the very beginning of the tome where they're talking about like the Huxley factory, and he sees another Hux unit get disassembled for being like defective.
Mhm.
And so I feel like that's like a core memory for him. I feel like that they put that in there for like a reason, right? Like they were trying to show that that's intentional.
Yeah. And
So I feel like he's afraid, he goes he's aggressive and he he wants to kill the humans because he's afraid for his own newly founded life,
Yeah,
essentially.
and I mean the whole existential dread kind of builds into that. It's like he's starting to feel emotions, and then like in his mind, he's now thinking, "Oh, now I'm defective."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, so it's like,
He sees himself as defective, so everything he does is motivated by fear. It's like a survival instinct.
yeah, and it's like if that's all he knows they do to the defective, like I've heard some takes of why doesn't he just talk to them and tell them what happened, and it's like, well, in his mind, he has
The other
no
one
way.
didn't or
Yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, but in his mind, he's like, what else? What am I supposed to like? The way he's seeing it, the only thing he knows is that if he's not acting the way he's supposed to, he will
He
be
will be
killed.
killed.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, like in this perfect scenario of if he talked to them and they understood, he has no frame of reference for that, right?
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Short Circuit?
Yeah.
It kinda reminds me of that, but much darker. Because Short Circuit was kind of like a happy-go-lucky movie, but it was kinda the same idea, like, he got struck by lightning and he became sentient, and
Mhm.
that was a wholesome movie. This was, like, kinda the same premise, like, "Oh, he's defective, like, he's gonna get disassembled, he's gonna get killed," like, his life is on the line, so I feel like he doesn't wanna just sit there and try and reason with people, like, that seems a little bit silly to me to think that.
Yeah,
But that, again, just my opinion.
and the criticism of why were the crew so stupid? One,
They were clones.
clones. Two, as someone who's done military operations, let me just say that some people do not question much
Mhm.
because we're. It's not that we're not allowed to. It's just it really doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Um, someone could have the dumbest plan, and we all know it's stupid, and we're like, "Oh, there's holes in this plan," and we don't question it because there's no point to it. Like we'll be like, "Okay,
Right,
whatever. We'll just go through it." Right? Um, I've
right.
I've talked about this a few times. I've had I've never been deployed. So I never like was actually in real combat. But
Mhm.
I have almost died 3 times in the military. 2 times during
How?
exactly 2 times during
If they
training.
weren't deployed.
2 times during training. One time because someone.
Jesus.
One time's a really fun. I call this the bunker story. We were doing training for bunker clearing. So the way you clear a bunker is two people run up to where the bunker is. They lay prone. One guy watches his back. The other guy throws the grenade in. Um,
Mm,
the bunkers we were using for training weren't real bunkers because that would cost too much and way too much maintenance. So what they did is they
right.
would they would like dig a hole basically in like a hill, and they're not very big or deep or whatever. We did a live version of it with like a real grenade, and the guy I was doing it with, Sergeant Price was his name. He he chucked that bitch inside the hole. It hit
Oh.
the back wall and shot back out at us.
No. Oh my god.
Oh my! It was hilarious. Like nowadays, it's hilarious. It was really funny too because we were both trying to be the hero because we both ran away from it because we saw what happened. And then we did that thing where like someone will like jump on top of you to save you from the explosion. But we
Yeah.
we were both trying to be the hero, so we both kept rolling on top of each other. It was so good. Yeah,
That's
that
so goofy.
that
That's
was
such a that's such a hilarious mental image, just 2 army men just rolling around on the ground.
in the middle of a field. Um,
Dude, that's intense. Like, I had like, I come from a military family a little bit, but I don't know much about it because I never did it myself. But,
uh, it
it's like
was.
I've seen, like, the videos floating around of, like, I think they do this for the police force too, but the tasers, like, they have them, like, they
Mm-mm.
actually have to get
We
shot with the
we
like, I could not. I could not.
the closest we did to that was the gas chamber. I actually had to do that
Or, like,
twice.
the pepper spray, I think, too, like
I didn't have the MPs, the military police. They have to do that.
mm,
But no, I was infantry. But we did the gas chamber. So when I did it in basic, it was awful. They use what's called CS gas, if I remember
mhm.
correctly, and the whole point of the exercise is to make it so you trust your equipment working, so your gas masks. So you walk
Right.
in, it's you can't see shit. Like you can't see like 4 feet in front of you. And the way the gas works, it's riot gas, so it's not supposed to kill you or anything. But what it does is it makes your body feel like it's going to die.
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
the whole
That
yeah
sounds awful.
yeah. So the whole point of it is it makes your body feel like it's going to die, and your skin burns while you're in there. It doesn't actually like burn, like there's no permanent damage, but it makes it feel like it is. Um, so and the way it works is like I said, it makes your body feel like it's going to die, so it's excreting everything. You're drooling, your snot's coming out, you're coughing, you can't
Ew.
breathe. They tell us beforehand, they're like, do not eat anything 10 hours before you do this. The
Jeez.
reason for that is because you will shit your pants.
Oh my god.
um, but yeah, so when you go in there, you go in with your gas mask on, and then halfway, like, you're in there for about 2 minutes, and then they make you take it off. And then you had to say like, oh, you had to answer a couple questions, uh, and then you had to put it back on and seal it. The whole point of that is just to teach you to that your equipment works. The problem with basic training is those gas masks are used by like 1,000 people a year, and like
Mhm.
some of them are like missing lenses, so like
Oh,
they
no.
didn't even work really. Yeah, it's funny because I had to do it twice because we were supposed to deploy to Africa, and there was chemical warfare going on at the time, so they had us do it again before we deployed. I didn't go because reasons, but but when I did that one, the gas masks were actually usable. So when I went in there, I was like, "Wow, I
What a
didn't."
concept.
Yeah, I was like, "Wow, I didn't even know they put the gas on." They're like, yeah, they put it on like high intensity. It's like, oh, okay. um, but yeah, but back to my almost dying story though. So, the second
Oh,
time,
the almost dying
yeah,
story, yeah.
the second time I almost died. And this is more related to the whole like people don't question things, people make stupid plans all the time. Uh, we were doing a live fire exercise to clear a camp, and
Mhm.
the way the infantry works is not how it works in the movies. It's a squad of 8 people. 4 people set up one way, 4 people set up the other way. Think of it like you're looking at a square. Think of the two. Think of one going. Think of like a right angle, like a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's how you're shooting. And the way it works is one of those 90-degree angles stops shooting, so the second one can push forward. So you're not cross-firing each other. That's the way it
Mhm.
works. Now, the sergeant I had the brilliant idea of sending us forward during the gunfire from our own team. That's just how our particular culture and language works for the most part.
Mhm.
Knight, knife, gnome, gnat. Other than those, um, and the hundreds of other examples. Um,
English is hard.
yeah. For example, okay. Do you know what the art of making food is called?
The art of making food?
Yeah, like you go to college for it.
Culinary?
Yeah, yeah. That's not how you say it.
Yeah. What?
Nope, it's not how you say it.
How do you say it?
Would the proper pronunciation is culinary
Cu
because
Culin
it's cu, so it's like a cue ball.
Oh, huh.
Yeah,
But I thought cue ball is like CUE.
it
So
is
then
it
the
is
U is
it's stupid. I know it's stupid. I'm never I
I'm
ironically
not saying it like that.
yeah I ironically say culinary, but that's not how you it's like aluminium. I say that because
Oh,
I'm pretentious, but um
I just say I don't even say aluminum, I just say, "Give me the foil."
give
The
me the
foil.
foil. um
I don't have time to say aluminum.
yeah.
Pass me the aluminum, please, and just pass me the foil.
I watch a lot of British YouTubers and streamers, so like
Mm.
aluminium is just how I've heard it. You'll never hear me say not instead of zero though. Uh,
Yeah, no.
yeah, nothing against my British people, by the way. I was making a point that language is different for everybody, unfortunately. Um, and yeah, there's no technically right way to say something as long as there's a thing called semantic change. I watch linguistic podcasts because I'm boring. Um, and semantic change is one of the hardest things to like fully understand and explain. And it's basically when like a word is said or used wrong for so long, the right way becomes the wrong way.
Mhm.
And I think culinary is a good example. No one says it that way, even though it's correct.
Hmm. It's interesting.
But because everyone says it the wrong way, that's actually the right way.
Well, it's like what's the word for it? I'm dumb. I'm gonna get this so wrong, but it's like a I'm gonna colloquialism. Like
Colloquialism, yeah,
it's like regional. Like if you're in a region and you say something a specific way, like it's inherently correct because that's how everybody around you says it.
yeah. And then there's words like irregardless.
Yeah.
That was that's a huge pet peeve of mine, by the way. Uh,
Mhm.
fucking hate the word irregardless because it's not a word; it's a double negative and means nothing. But because everyone says it, it's a word now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like the whole to me it reminds me of like the whole pop versus soda debate. That's just like a regional thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, once again, I've always said this: if you understood me enough to correct me, you didn't have to correct me.
Right.
You knew what I meant. Nothing gets gained from you telling me how to say it correctly. I say as I hypocritically tell you how to say words correctly for the past 5 minutes.
I'm
Um,
still not saying culinary. I don't care how much you lecture me. It's culinary to me.
culinary.
It's
Um,
culinary.
so maps that Larry plays because we're still talking about Dead by Daylight
Oh
and
boy.
Singularity. Um, we
I
talked,
think we are.
yeah, we talked a little bit about Larry's. Would you say it's
Mhm.
all indoor maps?
Funny enough, no. Because let's see, there's Larry's, there's Hawkins, there's Midwich, there's Gideon, and then there's two variants of RPD. Both of them are very different when it comes to Singularity. So
Uh-huh.
that's five maps.
Mhm.
Um, or no, I'm dumb. Um, anyways, there's two maps in particular that are god awful, and it's Hawkins and Larry's. Um, I genuinely don't know how to deal with those maps because the way that I play it just doesn't work on those. There's too many line of sight blockers. You can't be aggressive. You literally have to. It feels like you're kind of shoehorned into playing a more like passive, like defensive play style just
Mhm.
because of how the maps work. Um, I'd say Larry's a little bit more than Hawkins because Hawkins does have some rooms that you can play around. Um, like like the big open rooms in the middle with like the catwalk, so you can just throw a cam up there and deal with it. Like you don't have to play it like a lot of other killers do.
Right.
But Larry's doesn't really have anything like that. It's like it's a hallway into a window, into a doorway, into another window, into a hallway, into a pallet. Like
It's funny,
the
funny considering the name.
Larry on Larry's, yeah.
Yeah. um,
Like, the other day, I was all excited because I got a Singularity daily, and I never get that. I posted this on my Twitter, you might have seen it.
I did. I
But
did.
it was like, "I never get this, I never get this daily, I'm so happy." And then I loaded into Hawkins, and I was like, "Never mind, the fun's gone."
It's like when every time I want to play Billy, I get RPD, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to. I guess I don't want to play Billy anymore.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the 2 RPD maps, one of them is bearable. I don't wanna say it's good, like, I'm never filled with joy when I load into it,
hmm
but one of them is just awful, and it's West. RPD West is terrible, and it's because of how it's laid out, like, you have all the main rooms that both variants have, but then West just has all these hallways and closed doors, versus East has the rooftop, which is a little bit more, it's a little bit easier to play, like, you have a little bit more room to breathe,
hmm
and, you can put a cam out there and you can watch it. Plus the EMP, the crate spawns are very consistent on East.
Right. Well,
Um,
and part of that's because when they cut the map in half, I don't think they really changed a lot of the spawns.
right. No, so, West is terrible, East is bearable. I don't think Midwich is that bad.
Midwich
I
is
actually don't. I don't mind it.
Midwich is it's a killer sided map. We've done this for a long
Mhm.
time, but I think Larry in particular kind of he avoids one of the problems Midwich has if things go in his
Holding
favor.
W.
Perfect. Yes. Because
Yes.
he can completely avoid the hallway problem that a lot of killers have on that map. Um, not completely, obviously, but like if they're holding an EMP and they happen to get rid of all your cams and everything goes bad, like it was gonna be bad no matter the map. But Midwich in particular, because they can just hold W down the hallway, which isn't an infinite. I don't know who started saying this shit. It's not an. Anyways,
No, but I don't mind it because like if I load into Midwich like Pyramid Head,
mhm,
like yeah, I could probably play M2 game around the classrooms, but that's not gonna stop them from just holding W. Like it's just annoying. Like it's not OP or it's not an infinite. It's just annoying.
yeah,
But like Larry, I just throw a cam in the hallway, slipstream them, and then I teleport. It's like, okay, cool. Now you have to play a classroom, and every single one of those classroom tiles is mind gameable with him.
yeah. And then, I mean, are there any maps you would say he excels on more than other killers?
Mm-hmm. Dead Dog Saloon is probably one of his best maps. And just in my personal taste, I don't really like that map, and it's kind of just a me problem. But Singularity in particular, uh, the places that a lot of killers would struggle on that map, he actually excels at, like the main building.
Hmm.
There's always a building across the street with like the little round rooftop. You just throw a cam up there and you can watch that gen. Like they
Yeah,
can't do anything to avoid it. And if they want to EMP it, they have to go take an EMP, run across the street, EMP it, go back upstairs, and then get on the gen. Like so that one is super easy. Crate spawns again, really consistent. The fact that it's so open and there's so many like up high places you can put cameras, like it's a very easy map to control.
yeah. That dog's a weird one for me because um, I used to really enjoy that map. I don't know what it is. Recently, I don't know. Recently, I just started hating it. Uh, and I think it's just because, like, I think survivors have figured out that most killers can't play the main building,
Right.
so they just instantly run over there. Um,
Yeah, no, it's really strong. Like it's a really strong tile.
well, I mean, I also play a killer who's 110.
That's
Like,
true.
people ask me all the time, it's like, how do you counter Chucky? Go to a main building of any kind. Go to a main building of any kind, and I promise you, he'll probably get you eventually, but it's going to take him a while. Um, yeah, it's just like, is it Auto Haven, the one with the garage gen?
Oh yeah, Wretched Shop.
Yeah. Chucky cannot play that main building,
Really?
even if he breaks the wall. Um,
Huh.
because the inside convenience store area, um,
Hmm.
he can't slice and dice through that because of how like windy it is, unless he plays it 100% pixel perfect. So you can hide behind those, and it takes him so long because he's 110 to wrap around the building most of the time. Even if you take the window vault, yeah, he's not catching up to you anytime soon. It's gonna take him a bit. Um,
Yeah.
and that's with the pallet down or up. I say this all the time. You're at a strong loop against Chucky. Do not drop the fucking pallet. Anyways, um, I hate Scamper. You pre-drop the pallet.
Then they get mad at you for scampering.
Like I have gotten clips the past few days of people playing it correctly, and I'm like, yo, let's go. Um. Anyways, I get it on
You
some
know, I think
maps.
about 110 killers like Hag and Huntress
Uh
and
huh.
Deathslinger, and they all have something to help with it or rather their powers are strong enough where they don't need to be 115, but they also have something to compensate.
Yeah.
Like you're not in theory supposed to chase with Hag, right? Like you're
Hmm.
supposed to set up and then you're not if you're playing chase with Hag, I've been told you're playing wrong.
Right.
But she's slow, so that's fine. Deathslinger has a fucking gun. So
Hmm.
Deathslinger Huntress has range hatchets.
Right.
Trickster
Unlimited.
had range up and yeah,
Un-
unlimited
yeah.
until they changed him.
Yeah.
Um, but like I don't know, I like I said, I don't know a lot about Chucky, so this is kind of just me talking out my ass a little bit, but it seems like he doesn't really have the same advantage, or he doesn't play like he has to play like a aggressive way. I mean,
So
he has a stealth, but like I feel like if you're playing like around a slice and dice, like you kind of have to play chases versus other 110 killers. They don't have to chase
well,
necessarily.
the other thing with the slice and dice, so let's say you use it and you miss, you don't have a power for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of people tend to forget that. And I'm not saying it's the easiest thing to dodge sometimes, but if you can manage to dodge it or make him or force him to use it somehow, um, it's 20 seconds of him just being an 110 Andy. Like he's just
You just
100.
hold W on him.
Yeah, he's just 100 without hatchets. Oh, well,
Mhm.
that's not fun. I didn't say it was fun. I just that's how you counter him. It's an unfortunate thing. It's just what you do. Just
Like, that just seems to be an inherent flaw, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say he's poorly designed, I actually think he's I mean, he has his problems, but I feel like he lacks a lot of, like, the oomph that a lot of the other 110 killers do.
yeah, and even with the slice and dice, because because people have asked me how do I get better at Chucky. Once again, still don't think I'm qualified to answer that. But um, the biggest piece of advice I tell people is don't injure people with slice and dice. Um, try to only down them with it, because if you
Hmm,
injure someone with slice and dice, now you have to wait 20 seconds for your power to come back to do it again. So they're just gonna hold in one with the speed boost to get away from you while you're in the animation.
yeah. Now they have a
Um,
bunch of distance on you.
and now you have to wait 20 seconds. Either way.
Right.
So most of the time, it's better to only use it for either a mobility to catch back up. So a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll M1 them, and then I'll use slice and dice, not even to get the hit, but just to catch up. Uh, and then I'll M1 them once I'm there, because the power's going to go on cooldown anyways, so might as well. Uh, but yeah, I think people forget he. I swear people forget he's 110 sometimes. Um,
I definitely do when
and
I'm playing against
yeah,
them.
and people try to play against him like he's Trapper or something, like he's a 115.
Yeah.
So they pre-drop the pallet early, and it's like you're just giving him the advantage then. Um, and not to say like anyone's dumb when I say this, but the counterplay for Chucky is unintuitive in my opinion, because a lot of it is stuff you would not do against any other killer. Um, I've said this so many times. If you're in a loop and you do not see him and you know he's in hidey ho mode, and I know you know because your heartbeat isn't going off anymore, uh, stop moving.
Mm.
What they're waiting for you to do is panic and start moving, and then they're gonna take that advantage.
And I
If
mean, if he makes the first move, like, you're already in a position where he's gonna get the hit anyway, probably.
Yeah, like yes, it's a 50-50. I understand that. Because that's the argument I get for it a lot of time. It's like, yeah, it's a 50-50, but if you panic, it's like a 70-30 now.
Right.
So why not better your odds? Another thing I tell people all the time is do not drop the pallet until you absolutely need to. Uh,
Mhm.
because if you drop the pallet immediately, you just gave him the advantage in that loop. If you drop it when he's close but not on you, he's just going to use scamper and go under it anyways and get the hit. Uh, yeah, it's very straight. And then the other one I tell people all the time is uh what was the other one I say all the time? It's run into him.
Huh.
Yeah, if he's
Just
slice
run into his just get in his face?
no
Like,
no 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 if he's slicing dicing you like he's charging at you, don't run away or try to like sidestep it. Run into him.
I'd do, like, a 180.
Yeah, play it like you would play
Hmm.
nurse. It'll
Huh.
work. I guarantee you, it's going to work at least the first 2 or 3 times.
Huh.
Until he picks up on it. Uh, because a lot of he has to release the power early if he's going to hit you. And if he doesn't see it
Yeah.
coming, he's going to miss, and he can't do the 180 spin. So if you run past
Yeah.
him, uh, yeah. And people are like, oh well, he'll just miss the cooldown and then he'll M1 me. But he was going to M2 you anyways. So like I get it, it's a lose lose, but it's like I don't know. Like I said, his counterplay is just unintuitive. That's all it is.
I
Um,
feel like Chucky players are some of the most like patient people on the planet because of the fact that one, their cooldown is insanely long and it punishes you really hard if you fuck up. He's 110, so he just gets W keyed like crazy. So like I don't know, and I feel like the fact that there's these little like niche interactions, right, that can outplay his power, like hugging the fire barrel if he
mhm,
tries to slice and dice,
yeah,
like you have to play around so much bullshit, and then people still call your killer overpowered. Like,
he doesn't. His win rate isn't even that high.
yeah,
And once again, I think this is more of a symptom of the whole 1v1 thing, where it's like Trickster. Trickster's a very good example of this. Trickster is not that good. He doesn't win a lot. He doesn't 3K a lot. But in the 1v1 chase, he is so good that it makes him appear like he's better than he actually is.
well,
Um,
it's um the word escapes me. It's like player agency
yeah, 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 yeah,
because because even if you are trying to break line of sight while he's chasing you and your teammates are just cranking gens, like, you're probably still not having fun because you're just getting pelted with knives and there's not much you can do about it.
yeah, yeah. Deathslinger suffers the same issue.
Like, you will eventually go down. It might take a while, but he will get you. It's like that feel that like it's inevitable. So you just kind of have to extend that for as long as you can. It doesn't feel good to like play against.
Yeah, yeah, which is understandable. It's just like, and I'm fine with that argument. Um, the argument I don't like is when people are like Trickster is like Trickster is so good. And it's like, but he's not. He's good in the
I can
one.
acknowledge that he's bad and also unfun to play against
Yes,
because two things can indeed be true at once.
yes, yes. But a lot of people only will say that first one. He's like, yeah. But it's like, and that's a more of a question of Knight suffers from the same thing. Um,
Mhm.
I did a whole video on
I
that.
actually like Knight.
Um, playing against him.
Both.
Oh, fair enough. I don't mind playing against him. And one of the comments I got on that was someone was telling me like I can't assume what the developer's intentions were. Um, I can't. They're not wrong. I cannot assume 100% what the developer's intentions were, but I can use what they've given me to understand what I think they were going for.
Right,
Once again,
right.
if you're getting rewarded for doing something a specific way, that's probably the way they want you to do it. Um, and if you're getting punished, Larry's kind of a good example with this. What
Mhm.
what happens if you look at a camera when you're next to a hook and you
You
and
get the
you get this?
they call it it's like the anti-camp, it's like the penalty, the stun penalty.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
another reason why people slug with him a lot.
Yes.
I,
A lot of people think that that should be removed, and I get why, because if you hook somebody and then you go check a cam across the map, like, you're not camping, you're trying to pressure somebody on the other side of the map to maybe teleport to them.
I, I,
So,
I wish there
I
was.
think
Yeah, go on, go on.
I think, like, pointing a camera at the hook and then having there be, like, a little, like, not an immunity period, but it takes like, if you try and slipstream somebody when they're unhooking right next to the person on the hook,
Mm.
it takes forever. Like, that can stay, that's fine, that makes sense. But why should he be punished for trying to go pressure somebody else?
My only problem with it is I wish there was like an indicator that told you it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll do it, like I'll walk away from the hook and look at a camera quick, and then I'll be slowed, and
Mhm.
I'm like, well, I thought I was out of range. like, like,
Yeah.
like I don't think I'm anywhere near the hook, but the game says otherwise. I wish there was like a little indicator on the power icon or something.
There's a
Um,
lot about his power that people don't know, like, nowhere in his power description does it actually tell you that you can teleport to survivors that are slipstreamed with his gun arm.
no, I didn't even know that until like 2 weeks
Yeah,
after he
that's
came
not even
out,
in his power. That's not even in his power description at all.
and like and that would be fine in my opinion if you could also slipstream them originally, which I don't think you should be able to. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like with
Hmm.
it not being in the description. um
There's another one that gets me. It's and I'm like my mind is blown by how many people don't know this, but he has a passive ability where the more people that you have slipstreamed, it actually extends your overclock duration, just base kit.
What?
I'm not kidding. If you have multiple people slipstreamed, it actually gives you more overclock. So it rewards you for spreading it, and it doesn't tell you. Nowhere in there does it tell you that.
I didn't know. I play him and I didn't know that. What the
That's a
fuck?
true. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but what the fuck?
So many people don't know that.
How much is the increase? Like 5% or something?
Oh, let me pull up the wiki because I'm not sure of the exact numbers. The wiki might not even tell me that.
Maybe you do
Oh,
need a degree to play this killer. Maybe I'm wrong.
it's just like these are the things that you don't know because nobody tells you. Um,
that's not even like a tech or anything. That's like a blatant part of his power. Like
yeah,
that,
because again, like we don't know I don't know the numbers on it just because of the fact that it's not in his power anywhere at all.
yeah,
Um,
I learned something about Night today that I never knew. Did you know that the guard duration, like how long they chase you for, is based on how far the path is?
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. It extends it the farther it goes out. So like
Huh.
if you place a
Interesting.
guard at max like patrol range and it starts chasing somebody, it will actually chase them for longer.
Hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you that anywhere.
Interesting. See, I love niche interactions like that. It'd be really nice to know about them
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah.
I can't even I
Once
can't
again,
even find the numbers on
it,
I know it exists, like, when it comes to the singularity overclock duration, I literally cannot maybe I just can't find it in here, but
it's like Chucky's laugh. Like
yeah.
if he goes undetectable outside of Heidi Ho, his laugh is actually louder. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Huh,
Yeah, that was their way of counteracting people just stacking Insidious and stuff on him.
okay. It's 1 second per slipstream survivor.
So it would
That
increase 4 seconds.
yes, 4 seconds.
That's actually insane.
Yeah, so there's been times where I've been running I've been running Soma without the ball glove, and I'll have 4 people slipstreamed, and I'm like, "Man, this overclock's a really I'd like to teleport now. This overclock's taking a really long time." But, like, it has its uses, I mean, longer
Mm,
overclock means you might get a swing through a pallet, so on and so forth, but, you can feel it when you're playing, but no one unless another Singularity player told you about it, you would never know about
yeah, and once again, like I said, it's not like a Legion tech with the flashlight thing. Um,
it. Mhm.
like that's technically unintentional, but like that's a tech. Like I get why that's not in the power description, but like
Right.
this is a blatant part of their power. Why are we not being told this? Like,
Feel like that's such a big, like, interaction for some like, and it's another like, it rewards you for playing him well, for, like, spreading the slipstream,
yeah,
and it's never, like, incentivized because nobody knows it exists.
wow. Is there like a point thing for it?
I mean, there's a score event for, like, spreading the slipstream, I think it's literally called, like, Spread the Stream or something like that,
Uh huh.
but I don't think there's any, like, extra score points for the extended overclock.
Yeah, there's not like one for like Wesker when he hits somebody with another person. Which I
There might
still.
be. I haven't paid that much
By
attention.
the way, that's another one that the power. I'm like 95% sure the power description doesn't mention that you can do that. Um, and I
That
still.
you can, like, the collateral damage.
Yeah, and I still know people to
Yeah.
this day who don't know Wesker can do that and get surprised every time. Um, it's like
I thought that was so cool about his power when he first came out.
yeah, I wish it happened. I wish it could happen more often, but
Yeah, it's very rare.
yeah, I think it's a really interesting thing and probably one of the cooler clips I see is when people do that shit. Most of the time when I do it, it's on accident. Someone was just there. uh, but yeah, like it's such a weird fucking interaction that like let me rephrase it.
Super useful when you know about
Yeah,
it.
I don't want to even say weird. Like I said, now that you're saying it, it's like, oh, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
like, it's so weird that like I didn't know. How did someone figure this out?
I have no idea.
Uh,
Um, I honestly I don't even remember how I learned about it. I just know I know about it now.
yeah. Well, once again, it's like with the Chucky Laugh thing. It's like I didn't know. I don't even know how I know about it. I just know it exists. Like I've never tested it or anything, but
Yeah.
I just know it's a thing.
But like that's like a well-designed like part of his power, right? Like it rewards you for spreading pressure, like people want you to do when you play killer.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, let's just not tell anybody about this.
Let's give them no indication. Let's let them just go on their merry ways. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Um, I mean,
They're smart cookies.
I don't know. I mean, you were around before they gave us actual numbers.
Yeah, I was when it was like slightly
Slightly.
moderately.
The fuck does that mean? And then, like, when they did give us the numbers, and then we realized why they didn't give us the numbers. Because like there.
There was a YouTuber named, oh god, I think his name was like Entity Education, where he would like go into the files and he would pull the numbers before they actually showed us the numbers.
Uh huh.
Like that man was a godsend, like back in 2019.
And once again, it's like when they finally gave us the numbers, or like people finally saw what they were. We understood why they didn't give us the numbers, and it's because there was some add-ons that literally did nothing.
Yeah,
I think Ghostface was a huge culprit of this. A lot of his add-ons would like,
yeah.
I think there was one add-on that literally it says 0%. Um,
Wait, what? Really?
yeah, there was one add-on that he had that increased.
Dude,
I think it was I think it increased the exposed effect by 0%. But
that's so dumb.
the add-on said slightly.
Oh my god.
Um
It's gotta be like a fraction of a percentage, like
yeah, it has to be. It has to be something like that, but it's like
something that rounds up to zero that's not zero.
yeah.
Otherwise, why is it in the game?
Yeah. Well, and then that's the other thing. It's like uh, I said this before, slightly doesn't mean anything if I don't have anything to go off of.
Right.
Like if I knew like the ear, let's say a purple was like increases duration by like 5 seconds. Okay,
Mhm.
slightly would probably be 1 or 2 seconds, right? So I can go off of that. But
Yeah,
if I don't have that even anywhere to go off of,
yeah.
slightly doesn't mean shit. But
No.
slightly to behavior could mean 10 seconds. Um,
Like, that's just another example of, like, the game was, like, way more, like, laid back and casual back then because you could just use, like, slightly, moderately, and people would be like, "Okay, I'm gonna stick this add-on because it slightly helps my power."
yeah.
And nowadays, it's like, "I'm gonna use this because it reduces the duration by force," like, it became a lot more technical and a lot more,
Hmm.
like, strategized, I guess, versus before it was like, "Hey, this sounds pretty good. I'm gonna try this."
Well, like clown's a good example of this too. Like cigar or makeup kit. It used to increase.
Mm,
It used to say it would moderately increase the invigoration timer.
mhm.
It increases it by 2 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the jug that slightly increases it. It does it by 1 second.
Mhm.
Uh, so moderately
Very
is yeah,
inconsequential.
yeah. So moderately is well, actually, it's actually really good. But so moderately doubles it. Is that what that means? Well, no. And then you'll go to a killer like Freddy, where it's like, or Ghostface, moderately increases it by like 0.2%.
Point point, yeah.
Yeah, it's like oh, so these words
Like, it's
mean
not streamlined. It's kinda like a killer by killer
yeah,
basis.
yeah. So it's like moderately just means nothing. Okay, cool. It's
Like, Soma family photo in, like, 2018, it would be like, moderately increases mo
uh, you cut up.
moderately increases your movement speed.
Yeah, it's like 5%. It's like, oh, okay, all right, that's huge, but okay. Um, or like, what's the brown one that increases the overclock by 20%?
It's the kid's ball glove.
Yeah, it's like slightly increases overclock duration. It's like technically you're not wrong, but you're wrong. Okay.
Like, they designed these add-ons around, like, having the numbers, but it's funny to imagine what they would be like if they came around when they didn't do that. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I've talked about this before too. It's like 20%, like that actually doesn't tell me anything. Do you mean additive or multiplicative?
right,
So until I
right.
test it, I don't even know that it actually does anything.
I feel
Be-
like vast majority are additive.
yeah, but
Like, vast majority.
most of them are, but some of them
Yeah.
aren't. And then the question becomes, okay, well, what is, because I think
Which
some,
ones?
yeah, and then I think like Larry's a good example of this where Soma Family Photo decreases it by 15%, right? Or is it increase?
Wait, say that again, you cut out a little bit.
Soma Family Photo, does it increase overclock by 15 or decrease?
So Soma Film Photo, it gives you haste and it decreases the overclock duration by 20%.
Yeah, and then the ball glove does it by 20. Um,
The ball glove only increases it by 15.
by 15. Okay. Is
Mhm.
is it a 1-to-1 increase and decrease?
Um, I'm actually not sure. I think it is. But, like, it also factors into, like, it's 15% of whatever you have because you might have 4 people slipstreamed, you might only have 1, you know?
Oh yeah, and then there's that. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
I don't like numbers, they stress me out.
yeah, but it's like so that increase from the decrease from Soma, is that one additive or multiplicative? Okay. Oh, it's multiplicative. All right. Well, is the glove additive or multiplicative? Well, that one's multiplicative also. Okay.
Mm,
Is it before or after Soma? Well, it's after. Okay.
mhm.
So it applies after that. And then you have to take into account that what you just said with the whole like you get an increase, if all four of them are hit. And then it's like, okay, well, is it
Up
does
to 4 seconds, yeah.
yeah, does that is that just a base additive like of 4 seconds, or is it 4 seconds of the 15%? And then it's like this is why I hate video games sometimes.
I don't play video games to do math.
Like, but it's important math for how you're playing the
Right.
character.
Yeah, because like, the base overclock duration is 4.7 seconds.
Uh-huh.
So,
That is such a
like
random number.
so, I mean, if you have everybody slipstreamed, you could have up to, like, 8 seconds of overclock if you don't have family photo.
Uh-huh.
And then I think it caps at 8 seconds, actually, so I don't think you can go, like, I don't think you can throw on ball glove and have every like ball glove and rec form and have, like, a 10-second overclock. I think
uh
it does cap.
yeah, it's just and you said it's 4.7 at base. And the
That's what the wiki tells me.
yeah, and then the one thing the interaction we were talking about increases it by 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
one per
almost
survivor, so assuming you have all 4 slipstreamed.
so it almost doubles it, and it's something almost no one knows about.
Yep. Yep.
You're making me hate this more and more. Um
I'm sorry.
Also 4.7, can we talk about 4.7 seconds real quick? It is such a random fucking number. Why can't it just be 5?
Why couldn't it be, like, 4? Even 4.5 would have made sense.
Like they do that with a lot of stuff in this game. I forget I think it's Clown Slow isn't it's either Clown or Freddy's. I always forget. One of them slows you by 12.35%.
Mhm.
Why not just make it 12 and a half or
Right.
12? um God, it's so weird with games do this shit all the time. It's not just the Dead by Daylight problem, and I don't know why they do. Oh, it's for balance. Okay, well, for consistency's sake, like, I'll take the lower number. Like, because, like, do you know how hard it is to do math for 12.35%?
I just don't do it. I simply don't do the math for
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're fair enough. Just fucking play, I guess. But still, I've said this
just
before.
stick to the simple ones. Hey, this add-on gives me 2 extra biopods. I understand that.
I've we've done the clown one already. But we talk in there. If you want the biggest math nerds in this game, it's clown mains.
I believe it.
Um, the I've been in their servers before. You will never see more people argue about math than in that fucking server.
Hmm.
And
I think I'm in Aranad's Discord.
it's so weird because Clown does not seem like the kind of character that would like attract that kind of person. Um, but basically his whole kit is just like it's his whole kit is just math, really, when you think about it.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, you could argue that with Singularity too, to a degree, but like, yeah, it's just really funny. Um, all right, last two questions. So,
Hmm.
do you still have fun with this game? And
Um,
I know you said you were taking breaks and such, but like overall though,
Overall, I mean, yeah, I think the breaks keep the game fun because if I'm getting to a point where I'm getting frustrated and aggravated and I'm just not enjoying my experience, like I'm gonna go play a different game for a little bit and I'm gonna take a little like mental break
uh,
and then I'll come back and I have, like a total like just new perspective on the game. And it depends on how long the break is. If it's a couple months, then I've got new stuff to learn about. I've got new things to work on. I've got new things to figure out and play around with. Um, Learning a new killer definitely helps with that, and I'm still on that kick with Singularity right now. Like I feel like I'm constantly like learning shit about the killer.
yeah,
I
he's
really haven't been playing him that long. Like I wasn't here for his release. I mean, I was aware of it. Like I was keeping up with the game, and I watched the anniversary live stream when he released and all that. But I never got on to like play him until after I came back.
speaking of anniversary live stream, do you think it's better that the anniversaries have been OG killers instead of licensed killers?
Um, I don't. I'm kind of indifferent about it. I think that the having them be a license historically was a really good way to generate, like, hype around them. Because people are, like, they're chomping at the bit to know what it's gonna be. And, who are we gonna get now? Who are we gonna add to the roster?
I
Um,
I don't know.
but overall, I feel like the original killers have been good as of late. I mean, that's probably a hot take, I
I
know.
I don't know. I think sentiment's changing on that because like personally,
Dredge was really good. Larry was really good, even though nobody plays him.
yeah, and I don't even mean just anniversary. But I did for that question, obviously. But I think like overall, I get more hype for the original killers. They're just
They have more leeway.
they
Like,
they have more leeway, and in my opinion, a lot of them are more interesting. Um, because like Larry is even like the unknown. Like I don't think I've been
yeah.
like don't get me wrong, I'm still maining Chucky because I love that franchise, but and I was hyped when he
Mm.
came out, but honestly, I think I was more hyped for Larry or not Larry, unknown.
I was so excited. I mean, I watched the trailers and the teasers, like, I was as excited about it as everybody else was. Um, because it's like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know what the fuck this is gonna be. What is it?"
uh
Like like, I saw somebody say, like, the day before the chapter dropped, they're like, "Enjoy the hype now because it's gonna go away as soon as it's revealed." Like, but, like, no, I do think he's cool. Like, I
yeah.
haven't played on the PTB, but I watched the streams and I watched the gameplay of it, and, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if he's my cup of tea, but I'm really excited for, like, all the people that like him.
I,
Like, I really am. Like, I'm
yeah.
happy. I'm
Yeah.
happy for them. I'm happy they're happy.
Yeah, I think he's gonna probably be one of my most played killers. I think right now it's gonna be Chucky, Larry, Xenomorph, and then him. I
Mm,
think he's gonna take Clown's spot from me somehow. Um, just because he's different, and I like the hallucination things.
I
Um,
do think that's cool.
yeah. Plus, it's the only teleport in the game that's like instant to attack.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I'd say the next closest thing would be kinda like a Dredge,
yeah, yeah, but
like, teleporting back to the Remnant.
yeah,
But even then, there's, like, this very, very, like, brief wake-up period, like, it's very, like, minuscule.
yeah. But the because people were like complaining like he should be able to control where he can put them down. And it's like, well, clearly they wanted it to be random, and if it was controllable, that shit would be overpowered as fuck. Um,
I mean, you kind of can, like, by feathering the power a little bit, I saw.
yeah, yeah. And I tried doing that. The problem with that is that if your power's on cooldown, then you can't really do it. So sometimes you're like playing unoptimally just to like feather the UVX or whatever it's called. It's a fucking grenade.
Yeah.
It's a grenade launcher. Okay, I don't care what anyone says.
I feel like the intent of it is like because it is like it's kind of random in the sense that you have to I didn't get my hands on him, so I'm not sure of, like, the specifics of it, but I think you only start, like, generating the clones once you weaken somebody for the first time, right? Like, you have to get the status on somebody before it starts, like, charging the little
No,
bars.
no. It does it. It does it automatically. The one thing it doesn't do
Okay.
is it doesn't charge near hooks.
Mm,
And if anyone's on them or not.
mm, I
Um,
see.
and I think that was their way of like making sure he couldn't like because like twins can't put if you're playing twins you can't if you're next to a hook survivor you can't put Victor down right in front of the hook.
Right, right.
But if Victor was already there,
Yeah,
then he can camp it. So I think that was their way like future proofing that. Um,
which that makes sense.
yeah. I don't know. I think he's interesting, and I know some people are like complaining like the grenade launcher doesn't make any sense for his design. He's like full on body horror, so I think it works.
I like the idea that all the things that they speculated about him being in his lore, it's like, well, yeah, he's all of these things, but yet none of them.
Yeah.
Like he is he could be an alien, you know, he could be an escaped government experiment. He could be
Mhm.
just a monster. Like I really like that about him. I think he's really cool.
Also, some people complain about him having a fire axe for a weapon, and I'm like,
That's
it,
such a like a it's such a petty complaint.
it's such a well, no, and to me, I'm like, I actually kind of like it because to me, it's super random, and that means like he's probably gonna get a lot of weapon skins.
No, yeah, that's true.
Like he can get like a scythe, he can get like just a fucking pipe or something.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think that leaves the doors up because like some killers like I think Larry's a good example. There's only so
Well, we
much.
are talking about Larry.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with Larry's weapon skins. And his skins in general, which leads us into the next question actually. But yeah, there's only
Oh
so much.
man.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with him because of how unique his character is.
Yeah.
Um,
To be fair, I do like his base look. I think it looks cool, looks nice. So I'm glad he doesn't look boring at the very least because he doesn't have a lot else going for him.
so Plague is they've gone on record saying this because people always ask why doesn't Plague get that many skins because she's actually a decently popular character. Um,
Mhm.
for a lot of reasons. Uh, uh, they said the reason don't do it is because she's very hard to design. She's very hard to design skins for because she's so unique.
Mhm.
And I think Larry falls into that camp. And it's not like
Yeah, for sure.
it's not like Dredge either because Dredge gets a lot of skins too, but he's unique in a way where they're allowed to do pretty much anything they want and it works.
He's like a Lego box, right? Like you can kind of just put shit on him and it works.
Yeah, you can't really do that with like Singularity at all.
And you would think like, well, it's just a robot, you know? But like the sci-fi thematics of him, I think, kind of holds him back. A little just a little fun fact though. I'm actually designing a fan made skin for him, and I'm gonna enter it into the cosmetic contest when the anniversary rolls around.
I swear if Trickster wins, I swear if Trickster wins, I'm going to be so
I'm gonna be
mad.
sad. I
Um,
don't think mine's gonna win, but I just think it's a fun little thing to try. You know.
honestly, and I don't really care who wins. I just please don't be like one of the more popular killers. Like I don't like I want the skin to win because it's good, not because it's on a popular character.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
like the clown skins that we have, but I'm also kind of sad that clown has won it twice.
well, Clown's also very malleable with his skins.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah.
yeah, you can basically same thing with like we talked about with Dredge. It's like you can really do anything you want with him, and it works.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really do hope like one of the more less popular characters wins.
I mean, I would even accept like a skull merchant skin. I
Yeah,
think that would be a little bit controversial with the community, but I mean, I'd be like, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, she has pretty good skins already too, to be fair.
yeah, and I mean then like artist has a lot of good ones. I think Larry
Mhm.
is honestly one of the few killers who's like in desperate need of just skins in general, not just good ones.
And he just got one.
Yeah, and everyone hated it.
I like it. I think it's funny.
um,
I call him a chum bucket Larry. Because the headpiece, it reminds me of like the bucket helmets from like the SpongeBob
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
So is he's Chum Bucket Larry.
I think another thing with like Larry is skin wise. Speaking of what is your favorite skin on Larry? Of the choices you
Um,
have.
of that's a tall order, Chief. I I'd probably say the newer one, the Alpine Frost,
Mm,
because I think it's funny. It's kind of a meme, and I'm all about the sillies.
I
But
I
I like I also like the old model from the Rift.
yeah. I think that one I like that one because it's like I think what they're trying to do with it is this is what he kind of looked like before.
Yeah,
Um but yeah, I mean, is there a skin you hate on him really?
the I believe it's called the Huxley hybrid. It's the people also call it like the astronaut looking one because it's that really big, like round, bulky looking one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's in the store. That's the only one I genuinely don't like. I haven't even I mean, my killer does not have that many skins, and I refuse to buy that one because I just don't like it. But I bought the Alpine Frost, like, day one.
Yeah. They made it not a set. I think it's one of the few times they've ever done that. Um like because I think it was a set, wasn't it, on day
It
one?
was, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was,
Yeah.
and then they changed it.
Um
If you really wanna see something goofy looking, put just the bucket head on the default body.
uh he didn't get a candy weapon either, did he?
He did not.
Uh,
Or a blighted skin, which I was really hoping he would.
how mad are you gonna be when Chucky gets a blighted skin before Larry does?
I mean I mean, I'll be sad, but I get it. Like, Chucky is already, like, considerably more popular than Singularity.
Well, I don't know. I was really upset that Xenomorph and fucking okay, more so with Xenomorph than Sadako. Don't get me wrong. I actually kind of like the Xenomorph blighted skin. It was just so
Mhm.
weird that they got it.
Yeah.
Same with like
I mean, it's cool
Wesker.
skin. Like,
Yeah, same with like Wesker. He like just came out and he got a blighted skin. Meanwhile, there's
that's been the pattern for the last, like, couple Halloween events, like, with Xenomorph and Wesker, like you said. But, yeah,
yeah,
I was very much hoping that Larry would get a blighted skin because I'm like, they could really make it look cool. Like, they can make it look so badass, and then they haven't done it yet, and I'm holding out hope. But then there's also a lot of, like, the original roster that haven't gotten them, like, we still
yeah.
don't have a blighted twins or a blighted Deathslinger or a blighted artist, like,
I'm holding out hope for Deathslinger this year, especially since the tome just came out. So
I feel like it would be really cool. I
yeah.
would love to see a blighted twins. I think it'd be super cool.
The problem with blighted twins is the same problem with every twin skin. None of them
Victor. It's all
Victor.
Victor. It's all
None
Victor's fault.
none of them affect Victor, and that's a damn fucking shame. Uh, tie it to the body piece. Like that's all you got to do. Just tie it to the body piece. Um, same with Singularity. I don't think it's really an inherent problem, but like none of his skins, I don't ever will affect the bipods. I think it'd be cool as hell if they did,
I don't
though.
think so. Yeah.
I think it'd be cool as hell, though.
Like, I'm trying to keep with the themology for, like, the one that I'm drawing. I'm making it like a praying mantis, like a bug theme, because
Ah,
I feel like, like, his weapon, like, his little scythe arm kinda reminds me of, like, a praying mantis. I'm like, "That might work."
well, what if instead of getting mechanical materials, he got organic?
Yeah, like, I was making it more like he's got, like, in the draft that I have,
Hmm.
it's got, like, little, like, mushrooms growing out of it and, like, bark and, like, vines and shit.
Yeah, I mean, like
So it's more organic, like,
yeah, like in
and somebody's like, you should make it like go around and take pictures of the plants on the toga map
hmm
and then use those for inspiration, like aesthetic."
yeah, and like the claws, like instead of like them being like metal claws, he like got them off like a giant bug or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like
I
they're
was like,
like
I thought that'd be a cool idea, so I'm trying. I'm
or
trying my best.
or like tusks he got from like a rhino or something. I don't know. Well, a
Yeah.
walrus. What animals have tusks? Uh, yeah,
Uh, Elephants.
elephants. There you go. Yeah. Uh, I mean, it's an alien planet. They can literally just make up an animal.
He's already kind of bug-like, right? Like, he's got the claw, and
Hmm.
then he's got the big, like, round eyes, and then he's got, like he doesn't look quite human, he's got that little, like the little, like, bug legs, like
Yeah.
the one leg that looks more like like a animalistic. Like he already kind of has the bug look. It just need to push the aesthetic a little bit further.
Yeah, I think another cool skin they could do for I don't know if they can because of clarity reasons, but I would love a skin that's like um I was about to call it full metal, but like complete husk, where like it's actually
Hmm.
like what he ideally would want to look like. Like because right now
Yeah,
he looks very like ragtag and jury rigged, which is on
he was
purpose.
also burned in his lore.
Yeah, so like I would
Although
like a skin of him that's just like complete, like he actually looks like um
like his perfect form.
yeah.
That'd be sick.
Uh,
I know Coco Latte, he says it all the time on stream. He wants like a hyper futuristic looking skin, like really sleek, really clean.
mhm,
I'm like, that'd be cool. I can see it.
yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of ideas that people have thrown out there. I just think, but and I'm not one to call behavior lazy because I don't think they're being lazy. I think they're doing what every company does. They're following the money, obviously, and they don't want to waste the
Hmm.
resources on a skin that doesn't one
So,
sell and two that is really complicated to make. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and once again with his weapons, I I know a lot of killers fall into this camp to a degree, but I think he falls into it more than any other killer. His weapon is just too unique.
Hmm.
And it's not even unique. That's the sad thing. It's just it's so because of what it is, it's just hard to make skins for it.
It's just a scythe essentially.
Yeah.
But like or like a sickle. But like even if you were to try to like branch out, like Dredge has a similar weapon, so like why not just give it to Dredge?
Yeah. Like I said, with the unknown, it's like he has the fire axe, but it's so random and can literally be anything that
Hmm.
that's the thing. It can be anything. Um, but yeah. You're on PlayStation? Can you track stats on PlayStation?
Um, I mean, I can track my trophies, I can track my hours. On terms of like actual in-game stats,
Oh
no.
no.
Um, I do. I haven't done it lately, so it's a little bit out of date. But I do upload like my games to Nightlight to
Mm.
track that a little bit. So I kind of know like a general idea of like my win rate, what perks I see, that so on and so forth.
I don't.
But again, that's kind of dependent on me being able to go in and upload it like
Yeah.
regularly, and I just haven't done that lately.
I don't really use Nightlight too much myself. Does it? It just takes the in-game screen, right?
Yeah, so you take an image of like the post game screen, and it does it has like a smart like a smart identifier, like it identifies the perks and all that for you, and if it doesn't know what something is, then you just go in there and you correct it.
Yeah, I might do that to make my stat gathering easier for the Chucky thing instead of going into an Excel spreadsheet myself and rewatching all the
I was just
games.
Yeah, I was just doing it because I was curious about like what perks I was running into more often than not. And for some reason, like I only had like 10 games in there, and it was so funny because it skewed my stats so much. It's like, hey, Blast Mine is your most seen perk. Like,
What is his stat track? Do you know? His tracked stat. God, that was hard to say.
it's overclock downs, I believe.
Oh, well then.
I believe it's overclock. It's I think it's not hits. It's overclock downs. Yeah, no. Number one on the leaderboard. His name's Harry Botter, and he's like nobody's gonna pass him. Like he's got the number one spot by like a long shot.
You'd be surprised. It's funny because I hear this with a lot of killers. Like the number one guy is so high up, no one's ever gonna pass him.
Mm,
Once again, Horserer got number like 4 on Nemesis a year after he came out, and he didn't even play him.
that's funny.
Like
I've watched that interview twice because it was so enjoyable to watch. It was so funny.
yeah. It's like it's not impossible. It's just you gotta wait for the person to give up.
Yeah. No,
Oh
I my stats don't track unfortunately because PlayStation.
yeah,
Um, and I know you being Windows Store, you have the same problem.
yeah. I wouldn't want to stat or track my Chucky stats anyways.
It would make me feel bad. I don't want to see my place like you're number 200. Like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, no, for Chucky, it's because his track stat is scamper kits.
Oh, that's right.
So it's like
Oh.
I
So if
don't.
you're top of the leaderboard, you're a degenerate.
Yeah, you're just yeah, pretty
You're
much.
playing the killer wrong.
Not wrong, but yeah,
Playing the killer in a not fun way, not
yeah,
healthy way.
yeah. You're playing easy mode.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's I don't know the track stats. I really wish they would just give us in game or something. I don't know.
I would like to see like one of my biggest wants for the game is I want like an in-game tracker. Like I want to see how many hours I have like on a particular killer.
Yeah, I remember how we were
'Cause
talking.
people say like in their streams like I have like 3,000 hours on Huntress. Like how do you know? How do you know that? Are you guessing based off of your playtime? Like there's no way to track that unless you're
Mhm,
sitting there with a timer every time you play.
yeah, uh, yeah. I mean, we were talking at the beginning of the stream about or a big stream, beginning of this where we were saying like there's no incentives to like
Stream what?
there's like no incentives to like do anything other than win.
Mhm.
A stat tracker would kind of fix that,
I think
especially if it tracked stuff that wasn't just wins.
yeah.
Uh,
Even I would like a reward system for doing like milestones. Like I talked about this sometimes, but I would like cosmetics. Like you already get like the bloody cosmetics for the prestige, but I
mm,
want something special. Like if you hit like 5,000 hatchets with Huntress, you get like an iridescent axe or something like that. Like something like if I see it in game, I'm fucking terrified because I know this motherfucker earned it.
so so
I think that would be so cool. Like,
so a lot of developers have actually because people have demanded this in or not demanded but asked for this in a lot of different games. People have asked for this in Rainbow Six Siege. People have asked for this in like Overwatch as well. Um,
mhm,
but the reason they don't do it, and developers have come out and said it, is they don't want players maining characters.
that's so dumb because people main them anyway.
Yeah, that's the argument everyone's like, or it says back to it. It's like, well, people are going to do it anyways. Um, but in games like Siege and Overwatch, especially, it's like that's a
Well,
game where
that's a problem because one tricks, right?
yeah,
Like in
yeah,
Overwatch especially, like one tricks are a problem because they throw off like the whole team comp because they can't play around it.
yeah. Um,
But like DBD doesn't have that problem. Like
no,
nobody cares if you play exclusively Legion or you know Trickster or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
the community might not like you for it, but it's not going to impact anything else except for you.
yeah, exactly. And it's such a weird. And I'm assuming that's why Dead by Daylight doesn't want to do it. Or Behavior doesn't want to do it. I think it's part of the reason. I think the other thing is like it would also make development time for new killers take longer because then they
Hmm.
have to make this new skin for them. But like even something simple as like just a color
Just like a
change.
weapon skin,
Yeah.
like I don't want like a whole outfit because I did something well, but like I want to see a killer's weapon and have like it's kind of like the legacy skins a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a little bit afraid of them, but I'm also not one because they've been playing the game for hell of a lot longer than I have.
Well,
Um, and two, the grind for when they earned that for was like ridiculous. But I mean, seeing something like, hey, this person's really good with this killer because they got this many, you know, they got X amount of hits with their weapon or X amount of hits with their power. Like
yeah.
they earned that. Like I want to be afraid when I load into a game because I know somebody's good at their killer because they're showing it off.
Yeah, and even Prestige doesn't do that because
Yeah,
in
it's just a number.
well at the end of the day, even on killers, it's like in theory, once I Prestige 100 Chucky, right?
Hmm.
I have no reason to put points into him, but I'm still going to play him. So I'm going to start putting points into other killers I don't play.
Yeah,
So in theory, I could be Prestige 100 on Spirit and have never played the character once.
yeah.
Um,
No, it's just how many blood points you spent on that character. And granted, most P100s like their character,
yeah,
but it doesn't mean anything in the way of skill.
yeah. Um, and
I hate that argument because it's happened to me. It's like you're Prestige 100 and you play like garbage. Like, I mean, I'm not sweating. I'm just playing.
yeah, that too. Yeah, apparently once you hit Prestige 100, you can't just play the game anymore. You
You have to be like a super competitive player. You have to play to win every single time.
uh, I think one of the rewards they could easily do, and I mean they can't do it now because can't like. Uh, my idea was always the blighted weapons.
Yeah.
Um, but they can't do that now because people already own them. But well, and not every killer has a blighted skin. Well, you could just, like I said, it doesn't have to get full skin. Just the weapon. Like just give every killer a blighted weapon, and they earn it
Hmm.
somehow. Um, because I think they look cool enough to warrant it. You know. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, maybe make them a little bit more showy if you're doing just the weapon as opposed to like the older ones that have like a whole skin around it.
yeah, yeah, and
But yeah, I mean, I get it. Like,
yeah, and then I mean some killers like Xenomorph. Listen, I like the blighted skin on Xenomorph, but at the end of the day, the tail skins kind of suck when you're playing because you don't. Unlike every other killer, you don't even really get to see your skin that much.
I was gonna say the blighted skin for Xenomorph is super cool. Like, it's super sick and over the top
Mm.
and amazing, and I love it. Even though I don't even play Xenomorph, but like the tail looks so underwhelming. Like from the first person point of view of that particular skin, it's like a few orange spots. Like she just dipped her tail in a little bit of Cheetos or something.
Yeah, it's weird because with most killers, it's like that's probably the most important cosmetic is the weapon because it's the one they actually get to see. Um,
Yeah.
and Xenomorph is like the one exception to that where like it's just not good. Uh,
Yeah, Chucky players are lucky because
we
they get to
get to actually see our skin in
y'all
game.
you get to see your sin, you get to see your cute ass little sweater in game, like,
It wasn't the sweater I wanted, but I'll fucking take it. Um, I wanted the Heidi Ho 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 sweater from the commercial. Uh,
I
it's just
still love the sweater that he got.
yeah, yeah. I like Ripley's too. The sweaters this year were good, honestly.
Mhm.
I am so mad that fucking Xenomorph didn't get one. That would have been amazing. Uh,
I think if anybody is gonna get a sweater that's not Chucky, it's gonna be, like, Trapper.
probably. I didn't even think about that.
Like,
Chucky is the first killer that got a sweater, isn't he?
yeah, I mean, Susie got one a while ago.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So did Joey,
Skull
I
Merchant's
think.
probably gonna
Yeah,
get one too.
maybe, considering she's more modern.
Yeah. Oh no, you know
I can
what?
see
You know
that.
what? It won't be a sweater. I can promise. It's gonna be a cardigan.
A cardigan,
Yeah, she's rich. Of course, it's a cardigan.
of course,
Yeah,
it has to be elegant to, like,
yeah,
some extent, not just she's above ugly Christmas sweaters.
yeah. I'm sure because her weapon looks real pristine. I found these two. I'm gonna make the best looking weapon ever. Duct tapes two fucking saw blades to the end of like a wristwatch. Uh,
Oh my god, when she first came out and people were calling her little, like, hand radar a Nokia, it was killing me.
I forgot the video I watched, but they were using her little PDA thing to like check Twitter. And it was the funniest shit. I don't know why it wasn't that funny, but like
That's hilarious. What do you mean?
so it was like what Skull Merchant players are actually doing during the match, and I was like, okay.
Oh, and the 3 gen meta. They're sitting in their 3 gen checking Twitter.
Oh yeah. Speaking of 3 gen meta, this will
Oh
probably be the
boy, here
last
we
thing we
go.
talk about. We talked about this before stream, or I keep saying
Mm,
stream. We talked about this before the podcast.
yeah.
There is a particularly notable, quote unquote, was notable,
Mhm,
Singularity player. We won't name them, but if you once we start describing them, you all know who it is. We do not
mhm.
advocate for hating on this player or going to them or harassing them, because I'm going to get into this in a second about that. Anyways, they 3-gened a lot with Singularity. It was
Mhm.
their entire gameplay style. Um, they have since not
It was
played.
kinda short-lived.
Yeah, they
I
have.
mean, the Singularity era was short-lived anyway.
Yeah, they have since not played Singularity. I don't know who they're playing nowadays. But
I don't even think they play Dead by Daylight anymore, to be honest. They don't even stream anymore. I think they kinda went MIA.
they got a lot of hate, like a
They did.
lot of hate for how they were talking.
Mhm.
I don't think they said anything wrong.
No, I mean, you can't fault them for doing what they were doing, right? Like they were just playing the game how they thought it was fun.
Yeah,
And that's totally like I'm an advocate for that. Like I'm not gonna come after somebody just because I don't like how they're playing. I
right.
personally couldn't see myself doing it because I think 3-genning is fucking boring.
Hmm.
Like, at least it was before they added like the anti-3-gen, but I cannot sit there and just ignore all the chases in front of me and just kick gens. Like it's not my cup of tea. It's boring. I don't like it.
It
Um
like he said, it's just I mean, once again, I'm a boring. I do fishing streams where I just sit in a tunnel for hours. You know.
that's different because it's funny. 3-genning is not even it's not even funny. It's just you just kick gens.
I don't like because I'm a big macro player, and I like the idea of like not net because I've gone on record saying I don't find chase that fun personally, which is ironic because
Right.
I play fucking Chucky. But
Mhm.
I find like the chase itself I don't find fun. I find like outsmarting people fun.
Yeah.
Um, and
Singularity's good at that.
yeah, and it's like the idea of like being like three steps ahead of the team, not the player necessarily. Just like it fills me with joy, and I feel
Mhm.
like he was doing that, but in like the worst way he could have.
Yeah, I mean he was outsmarting people, but he was outsmarting people in like the easiest way possible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and someone's gonna say it takes no skill to regen. To listen to how he described it, man, the way he was doing it, and some of the way like with on Singularity, like it took at least a little bit of smarts. Um, especially with
I mean,
how
he did it against a comp team. I mean, like one of the best comp teams.
yeah, and it's
And
like
have you ever did you like watch the gameplay from that whole fiasco?
the
Because
chess merchant one.
yeah,
Yes.
because I was rolling like on my floor laughing because it showed his perspective, and this dude is playing against like some of the scariest like survivor players in the world, and he's just sitting there listening to music and kicking the gens.
Yeah.
Like it was so like it was like damn. It's like because that makes you think like there's not really a whole lot of like intuition behind it, I guess.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, and we often take this for granted. But like, there's a lot of stuff we do that like is just intuition because we've done it so much.
Hmm.
In game, like hiding our red stain, like that's it. Like I know it's a very
Yeah,
simple
moonwalking.
thing, but like like my mind games with Chucky when like I'm hiding like the whole model of the character. Like some
Yeah,
people are like, oh, well, that's very easy to do. Yeah, but I can do it without thinking about it. Like as I'm walking up to the loop, I'm like subconsciously thinking, okay, how do I position myself so my knife isn't showing? Like
right.
before I even walk up there, and it's like, well, is that someone watching it is like, oh, that's very simple to do, but like that's just from me playing him a lot. That's why it
Hmm.
looks so simple. Um, Same with like slice and dicing timing. Same with like Singularity with camera placements and things like that. It's like the Dead Dog one. Like, yeah, it's very simple and it's not hard to do, quote unquote. But like, take someone.
It's having like the preemptive knowledge of like
Yeah,
knowing, hey, you can do that.
yeah. Even with things like timing and things like that, um, like knowing how long it takes to kick a gen, how long it takes to kick a pallet, and how close it is to the next loop, and if you
Hmm.
worth kicking it, like things like that is stuff we don't even think about. But it's still skill.
I mean, I can see the argument for that because like if we're talking about 3-genning still, like if you're playing against a smart, like coordinated team, like what they're not gonna try and smash one gen. Like they're gonna sit on they're gonna sit on separate gens, right? They're gonna try and get progress on a bunch of different ones to try and overwhelm you.
Yeah,
Um, at least I mean this is kind of irrelevant because this playstyle doesn't really exist anymore. But just
yeah,
for the sake of conversation,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
um, but I mean it does take some level of like game sense to know where to put the pressure when they're trying to overwhelm you, right?
yeah,
Like knowing when do I need to commit to this chase, when do I need to break off this chase, when do I need to go rotate to this gen.
yeah. Well,
I
because
guess there is some level of like macro play to it, and I mean there was a YouTube video um by another known content creator who interviewed a 3-gen Singularity.
yes,
Um, and I mean, I don't like I said, I don't condone or like the play style, but some good points were made during that interview. Like it's actually really informative.
yeah, and I think the thing in that entire interview that he said that like really like I think was the thing that like it was the icing on the cake that I think people missed. He straight up says he doesn't play to win.
Yeah.
He said, "I don't play to win. I don't care if I
Hmm.
win." So he's literally just having fun doing the 3-gen thing. So it's like,
No, I've seen him because he floats around in like mutual like Singularity servers as I do, so I know who he is.
mhm.
And he literally like he doesn't take anything seriously. Like he's not sweating his butt off trying to like 3-gen, but he has posted like salt bait clips of like he'll post like compilations of him timing the server out holding the games hostage for an hour, and the people get so mad at him for it, and he just laughs at them. Like he does it, he's just a big troll.
Yeah, I mean, part of me kind of wishes I had that mentality to a degree. Um, but yeah, it's yeah. I mean, and then once again, I mean, the whole skill it debate. I want to ask the question again to like now that I'm a little bit bigger. What people actually consider skill in this game because
Mm.
I don't even know anymore.
It's
Like,
such a broad term and it could apply to so many different things. I feel like there's no like there's no like definitive answer to that
well,
question.
because I've heard people argue that macro play isn't skill.
It is. It's not mechanical skill
No,
like a
I've heard
lesser
people
mechanical.
I've had people straight up tell me that macro play has nothing to do with your skill.
I don't understand that
Yeah, and
because like
well,
what's the argument for that?
even
Because
with
macro play is literally thinking about like the broader picture. Like it's in a sense it's more difficult because you can't just practice macro. You kind of just have to develop it over time. Like it's
well, once again, it's
not like
also
you can't practice mechanical skill.
yeah, also it's not flashy.
Yeah,
I've said this before.
I
One of
think
the
we were discussing that in my stream.
yeah, it's like
Like you were talking about clip farming.
yeah, it's like that's why a lot of killers aren't played as much as they are. In my opinion, I think Singularity is a good example. I think
Hmm.
Freddy's probably the poster child of this. Like you can't really get clips with them because a lot
Yeah,
of their gameplay is controlling the map.
yeah.
So it's like
Pressuring different people, different places at one time.
yeah, and it's like you
It doesn't
can't
translate to like a TikTok compilation.
yeah, because it's like I could show this, but it would take like it would be like a 5 minute video, and 4.5 minutes of it would be the setup.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like no one cares about the setup. They just want to see the end result.
right.
Um,
And it's like things take time.
yeah, and once again, as far as the skill argument goes, it's like is identifying a 3-gen and being able to hold it down. Once again, this is irrelevant given the state of the game at the moment, but I mean, you could argue on both sides, I guess, that is skill versus it's not. Because it's like a new player starting the game up wouldn't know that, so therefore it's something
Yeah.
learned, so it's a skill by definition, right?
No, yeah. I mean, baby players, they don't have any sense of like the 4v1 of the macro play. All they know is killer near me. I have heartbeat, I hide.
I,
Like but even stealth like to a point is a skill. I
yeah,
mean, people would argue with that because that's like people are frowned upon for playing in like a stealthy way. And they're like, "Oh, it's brainless. It's no skill. Like you're just hiding. You're not engaging with the killer." Like it's not fun, but it's still like if somebody has managed to hide from me the whole game
uh-huh.
despite everything, I feel like that's like I mean it can be challenging.
Yeah, yeah, like it's like generators. Like does doing a generator take skill? No. Does knowing which generator to do and when take skill? Yes.
Yes.
But no one talks about that.
Mhm.
Same thing with like tunneling and camping. That got brought up on Twitter a lot today. Um, like people are like tunneling takes no skill. No, tunneling probably inherently doesn't take skill. Like if you really want to break it down, but knowing when, where, and how takes skill. And I think that once again, I think that's what gets lost in when people are talking about it. Like, uh,
I mean, yeah, because like tunneling somebody out of a game could simultaneously like lose you a game or could win you the game.
yeah,
Like it's knowing when and where to do it or when to proxy camp, like when is a good idea to slug. Because like even if you do try and slug with a killer like Singularity and it's not a good opportunity to do so, like you don't know where anybody is
mhm.
and you're just gonna leave that person on the ground, like all your pressure could go out the window. So there's definitely a level of like decision making to things like that.
Yeah, and once I think that, and it's funny too because, and I don't mean any hate to anyone who plays this game when I say this. Dead by Daylight is not that mechanically difficult.
No, it's really not.
Um, which is odd because it seems to be the only skill anyone cares about. I'm not to say like certain killers aren't a little bit more mechanically difficult, but like even like Huntress, at the end of the day, point hatchet at player, hit player. Like you're not really doing like crazy flit. Like I forgot who I talked about it.
Cross maps, like
Yeah, like cross maps, sure, that takes skill, but at the end of the day, it's technically macro, not even skill.
the problem with that is like you could go for like cross maps with hatchets.
Mm-hmm.
My issue and why I generally don't actually like playing against Huntress because people are like, oh, it's so fun to juke her. Like, no, it's not. She's just gonna hold the hatchet for a bajillion years until I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Or she's gonna hit me when I'm in animation. Like nobody goes for even if they can go for like skillful shots, they don't. They take the easy way out and it's not fun.
Well, once again, it's a problem with Knight with just plopping a guard down at a loop. It's like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, let's say they're like, oh well, it's not fun. Maybe just getting the hit is fun to them. Just
I mean,
winning is
I
fun to them.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, if you wanted to play Knight optimally, I guess you could, you could send your guard off and pressure somebody off a gen and then chase somebody else, and now you have two people not doing anything, but that takes macro play.
well, not even just macro play; it's also a risk. Because what
Yeah,
if the
that's true.
person moves? What if the person goes out of the way? Well, now you don't have a power. Um,
Mhm.
and it's just sitting there doing nothing. And then yeah, same thing with hunters. It's like why go for cross maps? You're probably gonna miss.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's a weird thing, and it's like if they're not a content creator or someone like that, like they legitimately have no reason to do it. Other than like the personal satisfaction, and
right.
it's yeah, it's I don't know. It isn't just an inherent. It's not just a DPD problem. This is a problem in a lot of games. It's like people are gonna do the most optimal thing, regardless if it's boring or not. Because
Yeah.
like, what reason do they have not to?
I mean if you care about winning, which a lot of people seem to do, and that's fine, you're gonna you're gonna probably take the easiest way to win or the like the not the easiest, but like the least stressful way to win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you go for cross maps, you're probably not gonna win the game, but if you go for, like, the safe shots or if you just zone people away from pallets and windows, like, you're probably gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost Chucky games going for dumb slice and dice hits,
I mean,
or waiting out someone at a loop for too long.
I've done the same thing with Pyramid Head because he's my secondary, so
Yeah,
I've completely thrown games trying to go for, like, blind M2 hits.
yeah, like it because and I mean, Pyramid Head has its own issues with that. There's literally no reward for it. Other
No,
than
you get hard punished for doing it, but it's still fun.
yeah. Um, but yeah, once again,
Or,
it's
like, getting flicks with him because people don't know he can do that.
yeah. Um, but I mean, it's like with twins. It's like people complain twins slug all the time. It's like, well, yeah,
What else they gonna do?
yeah. It's like
Victor can't pick up.
yeah, which I have a feeling is going to change with the rework. Um,
Mhm.
My prediction is still that they're gonna do what they did with Chucky, and Victor can like summon Charlotte over to him or something.
I kind of hope they don't do something like that because I feel like that takes away from what makes Chucky so unique
And it also takes away
and well implemented.
from what makes twins unique. But I have a feeling that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Um,
I hope they don't, but we'll see.
yeah, and I mean that like even with like Skull Merchant, it's like I see so many people say she takes no skill, and I'm not going to show it or anything. Pixel's working on his Skull Merchant guide. He's been showing me a bunch of clips from it.
Mhm.
He showed me a 2 minute segment of him explaining every single thought process going through his mind to get like one down. Like 5 minutes later into the match, it is one of
Mhm.
the best examples of macro and micro gameplay at the same time I have ever seen anyone do for any game, not just Dead by Daylight, not just Skull Merchant. Um, and it's one of those things where it's like I said, it's stuff that goes through our head that we're not saying, and it just
Yeah.
seems so inherent. Uh, as far as Skull Merchant goes, I mean, that's a whole other fucking. I think the problem isn't that she's not skillful. I think she can just get rewarded too easily for not being skillful, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually really excited for his guide because like Skull Merchant is admittedly like the killer that I play when I want to like brain off a little bit and I want to chill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I'm trying to play well. I just think she's not. I mean, she has a level of depth that I probably don't understand, but she's not like Larry complicated. Like I don't have to use my brain as
Yeah.
much and think about every little thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see the guide and to kinda add to that and maybe go, maybe push it a little bit further, you know, because right now I kinda just play her on a very, like, basic, boring level, but that's just me, that's just for my enjoyment.
I mean, when I play, because I played her, I think I was doing a archive challenge with her, and my chat wanted me
Mhm.
to play her. And when the match was over, I actually got told I was the most fun skull merchant they've ever played against. They still
Really?
lost. It was still they still lost. It was still a 4K. And I asked them, what did I do? They're like, you didn't like completely zone us. I was like, well, I did.
Oh.
I did though. So I watched the
You
match.
just drop the drone in the loop.
Well, no. That's the thing. I think that's what I did different.
Oh.
I didn't do that. I preemptively put the drones up.
Oh, so you were planning ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, I think one Pixels said this in the guide. When I've seen that clip too. Because he plans his drones out way ahead of time. Uh, in like crazy spots that like no one would notice
Yeah.
or yeah. Um,
That stuff is fun,
but
like, playing her like a setup killer.
yeah, and that's how she's supposed to be. But I think the problem is she doesn't have to be, and a lot of
Yeah.
people play her in that way, and that's why people find her frustrating.
'Cause I like doing that too, like, I like, I mean, I don't pretend to be like a good skull merchant, but I do
Hmm.
like setting up her drones in like high traffic areas where I think people are gonna path to or like between stronger structures.
Yeah, between loops is where I mostly put them.
Yeah.
Because I'll use it like as a not as a I guess fallback's the right word. It's basically like either I'll win the loop and they'll run into it, or
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
lose the loop and they'll start running to the next one and I still win.
If they
Um,
try and W key you, like they're more than likely gonna run into it unless they're like situationally aware and they see it. But that's a whole different
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
whole different aspect.
Well, yeah, and this whole idea of like zoning killers, because I think Skull Merchant is simultaneously a zoning killer and a trap killer. Um,
Right.
and I think that's what makes her so frustrating
Yeah.
because it's like people don't like being CC'd in video games. It's
No.
no
Oh my god,
one
Overwatch.
no one likes it. It's just no one likes it. And Skull Merchant has managed to not only combine CCing, something people don't like in video games, and zoning, something people don't like in video games, because both
Mhm.
of them remove your options. Um, and that's yeah, that's why I think she's as hated as she is. good or bad. It's like Brigitte in Overwatch when she first came out. Even if she
Yeah.
came
Oh my
out,
god.
yeah, even if she came out and she was terrible, the mere fact that she can stun you was just that alone is frustrating. I mean,
That point in time was pure pain for a Reaper main like myself.
who else had a stun in Overwatch One? Didn't McCready?
Yeah, he had the Cassidy.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he it's good, it's good. Um, I slipped too. But, no, he had, like, it was the flash fan, the hammer combo,
Mm-hmm.
so that was really frustrating, so they just took that away in Overwatch 2, now he just has a homing missile, I guess.
Yeah, May used to freeze you in place and just instantly kill you.
Mhm,
Um,
Doomfist existing, like
yeah, but people just don't like CC. It's just,
well, because it goes back to player agency, like, it takes that away, and then it's
yeah,
like, "Why am I playing a video game if I can't control my character?"
yeah. But then the question could become: you had the agency before you were CC'd to avoid it, and your punishment for not avoiding it was the CC. And but then like once again, this is why designers have such a hard time with it because how much of it do we sway to one side to the other for that, you know?
Right.
Like with May, it's like, well, yeah, she can CC you, she can stun you, but she has to be super close.
Mhm.
She's not very tanky. I think the other thing that made May frustrating with that was she could do it and then just waste your fucking time. um,
And if you did get close to her, like, if you were playing, like Reaper or Junkrat or whatever,
mhm.
then it's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go with my ice block and heal."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like then she could just waste your time, and then everyone gathers around the ice block and waits, and then
Yeah.
uh,
Translating that to Dead by Daylight, though, I think that's why a lot of new players don't like playing Singularity, or that's why a lot of people, like, wrote him off when he was new, like, he was bad because
mhm.
EMPs kinda take that away. I mean, it's not as drastic as, like, oh, Mei freezes your character in place and you can't move or shoot. But, like, the fact that they disabled the cameras for as long as they did, I feel like people felt like it took away a lot of their, like, control over the game. Um, I think that was before people figured out you could just replace the bots.
Yeah, well, it's also
But
like
it still stands, like, I still hear that argument that EMPs are too strong, EMPs are too strong. It's like, well, no, you're not playing around them. Like, you're not managing them.
yeah, and I also think it's a case of like from the setup perspective, it's like I spent like all this time going around the map like setting my cameras up properly, and they
Mhm.
grab an EMP and like they're all gone. And you could argue,
Yeah.
well, and I don't mean like all at once, but it's like it makes you feel like you did it. It doesn't take your power away, but it makes you feel like it's taken away.
Yeah, and it also depends on, like, how you're playing, because if you're
Yeah.
trying to play more of, like, a setup playstyle or like a gen defense playstyle, like, the EMPs are just naturally way stronger at countering that
Hmm.
because they disable it for so long, and if you're across the map doing something else, then there's not really anything you could do about it.
Yeah. I mean,
But if you are using your cams for chase, like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna get slipstream, they're gonna EMP it off, and then you're just gonna slipstream them again. Like, it does nothing.
yeah,
So it all depends.
yeah, it's kind of like Trapper with like if someone's following you around the whole match, getting rid of your traps. This is one of the
Yeah.
worst feelings playing Trapper. Um,
Yeah. No, definitely.
it literally takes away your power. Um,
Mhm.
but I don't think it's bad. Like I think it should kind of be that way because if you couldn't do that, he could just set the traps up in like impossible situations. And you have literally no counterplay against it. Uh, Hag is kind of the same way, even though to a
Yeah.
lesser degree, in my opinion. Because I mean, the counterplay to Hag is just harass the shit out of her clones. That's the counterplay. Um,
Even, like, Pinhead,
yeah,
like, just solve the box when he's picking somebody up, like, what's he gonna do?
exactly.
He can't do anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Pinhead's not even like I wouldn't like Pinhead's power comes from mostly from the fact that he can waste. He has inherent slowdown in his kit. Not to say the chains aren't
Yeah, massive
good, but
slowdown.
like yeah, not to say the chains aren't good, but they're not that great. Um,
Yeah.
So, like, if you really think about it, like, you can, if you're doing things right, you completely remove half of his power.
Hmm.
Same with Dredge with like lockers. Like, do you know how bad it feels playing Dredge when like you teleport to a locker, a double locker, only one of them is
Yeah, and then
locked.
yeah, which I feel like that's fair counterplay considering how good his mobility like can be.
Yeah, that's
But it's also like it's also like you as the dredge player, like you have no control over it.
yeah.
You can't pick the other locker.
Yeah, like I'd be cool with that if they had to lock both lockers, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because then like if you forget or don't have time to hit the other locker, like, well, that one's still locked. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
um, I don't know. I think some killers just like the counterplay is like I don't want to say too much, but it just a lot of it just feels bad. Um, Same with like
I mean,
this.
EMPs feel bad. Like it's also because like how easy it is for the survivors to do it. Like there's smart ways to use EMPs where they can feel really strong, and there's also really bad ways to use EMPs. But it's the fact that it's like all they have to do is go pick one up, and they passively generate.
Yeah, and you know with like
Like
some
there's very little like brain power behind it, I guess you could say.
yeah, it does, you don't even have to aim it.
No, yeah, you literally just hold the button.
And
Just hold the button.
yeah, until it's green, and then press the button.
Yes.
Um,
And then let go of the button.
like I'm really curious if they made you have to aim it, if it would be too much.
I thought when Singularity, like when I was first seeing like new gameplay of him, when you were in a camera like targeting somebody, I thought that you had to like shoot the biopod to slipstream them. I
So
didn't
did
know that it
I.
like automatically. I didn't know because it wasn't like registering in my brain that it just happened automatically. I was like, wow, that's gonna be a really tough killer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So did I. I was like, wow, these guys are really good at hitting this. Then I played him. I was like, oh, this makes
Oh,
way more
it's not
sense.
that hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I have a sneaking suspicion they took the tech from Larry's pods, and that's where the new killer's projectile came from.
Hmm. I
Because
mean, maybe.
they're both round, and I think because of the speed they come out at. Because
Yeah.
it's funny with Singularity's thing with how the animation works because it's instant the moment it locks on, but it still has an animation as if it traveled.
Yeah.
Which is just really, I mean, it's nice, but like it's really unnecessary. Um, but yeah, I we have been going for a while, 4 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh wow.
Phoenix, I would like to say that you have officially beaten the record.
I've just been talking.
Yes, welcome to the podcast. Um, we talk about the killer for a grand total of maybe an hour, and the other three it's just us rambling.
This is
Um,
a Singularity podcast, I think.
yes, we talked about him a lot actually.
We did.
And once again, it's the same thing with the pig one. I think it's just he's one of those killers that brings up a lot about the game itself.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, just the way it's designed.
yeah, because the Freddy one, and this will come out after that, so people already know. But we actually didn't really talk about Freddy too much, because
Mm,
there wasn't a lot to talk about.
right.
um, Even from Freddy main, like we did a pretty much, but that was probably one of the shorter ones I did because
How long was it?
I
Can I
think
ask that? Am I allowed to ask that?
like 2 hours. I think
Okay. Pretty
it was
standard.
yeah it was decently short. It was just yeah, um, there wasn't much to talk about, and we didn't really ramble. Uh, and
I
nothing
did. I rambled.
yeah, and nothing against the person because I think in the gummy one, the first one I did, someone was like, this podcast should just be called two 30-year-old friends just talking, and I was like, you know what. It's pretty much what it is, but
There's a working title.
yeah, there you go. I'm sure that'll get all the clicks. Um, I need a better title for this, honestly.
I
Um,
think Killer Man interviews is fine. Just my personal, my humble opinion.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, it works. It's just I don't know. I want something
I mean,
catchier.
it's the fact that it's the fact that like people can see it and be like, "Hey, I made that killer. I want to watch that." You know,
Or I don't main that killer. I want to learn more. And then they hear
I
us,
hate this killer. I'm gonna listen to this.
yeah, and then they hear us talk about fucking Halo and Overwatch for an hour. um, but yeah, I want to thank you for coming on. I know this was long, and you're probably going to say the same thing everyone else does. It didn't feel that long, did it?
No, it didn't.
No, everyone says
I've
that.
just been talking.
Yeah. Um, and not to out you, I know you were nervous before this. I hope you feel better now.
Oh no. Well, I mean, I'm a nervous talker, so I guess it kind of worked in my favor here.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Um, but no, once I get talking, especially about something that I'm interested in, I like it mellows out, you know. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I am generally kind of an anxious person, so I was before we got into the call, I was like sitting here like shaking, like I'm just naturally like a nervous person,
Yeah. Like I said, everyone was like that. Even like the people
but
who,
I'm chill now.
yeah, even the people who've been doing YouTube for a while were like that. It's just, it's a different kind of format.
Yeah,
Um,
it was fun though. I enjoyed this talk.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like I said, we talked about a lot, a fucking
Yes,
lot.
we did.
Uh, and Larry, I think, is one of the more interesting killers in the game to talk about. Uh,
Definitely.
especially since he's not really talked about. Uh, uh, but yeah,
I think I taught you some things, which is cool.
you did, which was some things I probably should have known. Yeah. So, last thing, where can people find you again? I always like to have this at the beginning and the end, just in case.
So I stream on Twitch. I don't have a schedule. I kind of just go when I feel like it, but I'm aiming for 2 to 3 times a week. My Twitch is Phoenix Taru. I'm also on Twitter. I make a lot of like joking posts on there. But I also do I give my opinions on things, and sometimes I post cat pictures. So there's that. It's
And
also Phoenix Taru.
yeah, I'll have all that posted below for you guys who should follow her, please. Um, if
Don't feel obligated,
yeah,
but I appreciate it.
if
I
you
like new friends.
if you want, well, I hang out in there too. All right, so you should totally do it. But yeah, to everyone who's made it this far, as always, I love y'all. I can't believe you suffered through the entire 4 hours of this, 4.5 hours of this. Um, but yeah, I love y'all. Have a good one, and see y'all in the next one. Bye.